Okay, hello everybody and welcome back to another episode of the Resurrected Winners U podcast. As ever, my name is David and I am speaking quickly today, so I better slow down. I'm sitting how many miles across from you today? I've not done that in a while. Mr. Alex Aldridge, how you doing today? Alex, you all good?
12 miles.
12 miles.
12 miles for 12 games.
You've got video game merch aplenty spread
Yeah,
around. Well, you're
well, I do,
wearing
yes.
a Duke Nukem, you've got a Sonic blanket, a Sonic hoodie, which is quite cool.
Yeah, that's a Sonic and Knuckles one from Insert Coin. Sponsorships available, lads. Yeah, I'm all right. So we were discussing, but I stopped telling the story off air of how I think it was my Easter weekend. It might have been something else, but I was at a playground with Cassie. And we typically take it in turns because usually at a playground you're not allowed dogs in there. So the wife would sit outside, watch the dog while I went in with Cassie. And first of all, well, it felt like I just chose violence against against small children for some reason. So first of all, Cassie was sat on the top of a slide,
Right.
waiting to come down, and a kid who was probably about 7 or 8, if not a bit older, just ran up the slide right at her.
Okay.
For some reason, my response was
Kids
to go,
just
bruh!
Do not,
Bruh!
do they? I often think back to like when kids are messing up, like when I was younger and like things happen. I just think kids' brains just don't work properly. Like I bet he was not thinking what it was doing.
Probably not. But then I said something like, come on, man. And he just sort of looked at me and walked off. And I thought, he's not going to, what's he going to do to that? And then Cassie and I were sitting on some swings next to each other. And these kids like to the right of me were like effing and jeffing. And they were probably only about that age as well. And I just turned and looked at one of them and he looked at me and I went, watch your mouth, mate. And he went, sorry. And then I went over to my wife and I was like, you better take me out of here because I'm starting on little kids.
Start dishing out DDTs in a minute.
Yeah. Watch your mouth,
that,
mate.
I guess what would it be? It'd be like a meme these days, but it wasn't back in the day. That short clip of the man just going around backhanding everyone at the party. Have you seen that video?
Yes. Yeah, it was kind of like that. Yeah, just verbally, of course.
Yeah.
I would never actually strike a child. But I just both of those moments, I guess the real thing I had not considered is whether they had parents nearby, and I'm standing there like telling off their kids. I mean, I remember my dad telling off kids at playgrounds and stuff when I was young. So maybe I just get it from him. But I've got vivid memories of my dad like yelling at kids for being idiots.
Wearing a Duke Nukem shirt though. He
probably wasn't wearing a shirt that said "Come get some" on one sleeve, and I'm here to kick ass and chew bubblegum, and I'm all out of gum on the back. So that would not have helped my reputation if anyone caught me.
I'm fairly sad that you continued that sentence. If you had just sort of ended, I'm fairly certain he wasn't wearing a shirt, and he just Alex Aldridge Senior was just a man that just went shirtless day to day.
Yeah, shirtless and shouting
and jorts.
Jorts, yeah. I mean, that's just John Cena's ring gear.
He was a bad guy.
But I don't want to talk about that. Yeah, something like that. Yeah, I apparently tried to blame the WWE universe for making fun of him, which is why he had to get a hair transplant. I think I'll blame them for that too if I ever get one.
Now, doesn't he? Like is like when I look at his hair, I'm like, actually, it's quite good being bald because it just like the longer you're bald, the more your head sort of just looks natural like that. Whereas you get to a certain age and you're sort of thinning and you've got like a weird hair, probably, I don't know, it looks like it's got hairspray. It's sort of thinning but thick.
Yeah.
I'm just like, I'll take this absolute slap head any day over that.
It's cheaper, isn't it?
Yeah.
Buy a new set of clippers once every couple of years when they run out and die, and that's about it. No more haircuts for me.
That's it. You're a free man. So liberated.
Yep, yeah, exactly.
Duke Nukem's got Johnny Bravo here, right? Is that? Am I remembering that correctly?
Yeah, he does. Yeah, there it is.
There he goes.
For those watching, or for those listening, I'm pointing at the Duke Nukem on my t-shirt.
His forehead. Just the way
I was stroking his forehead. Yeah.
So, do you want to tell the listeners about what we're doing today?
Yeah, because I need to retell them because I told them incorrectly. Well, I told them correctly on the last episode. Then I went away and had to think about it and realized how shit my original idea was, and I had to rewrite the entire thing. So, as you can see,
the carnage if you hadn't seen this at all.
Yeah, if this was just totally random. Well, I mean, 12 wouldn't work, so I guess I thought I'd make a little bit of Jeopardy in there. But anyway,
Jeopardy.
So as you can see from the title, this is the genre wars. It's the first one. This is first-person shooter games. David and I have probably been at great pains to finally come up with a list of 12 FPS games that I don't think we're probably happy about even now, but time has run out, and this is what it is.
It's tough. I think, like, to be fair, I think the sort of upper echelons of our list, when we get to it, are fairly happy with. It's the sort of like the relegation zone, I think, could have done with some more work, but it's the relegation zone, so we'll see how far they get anyway.
Well, that's it. They're already out, but the listeners will have to hear what we're talking about once we get to it, but they're already gone.
Oh, are they? Oh, okay. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I'm upset about that already, but
actually, yeah.
So yeah,
I'm quite upset about it there. Oh well.
Yeah.
So
I shouldn't have put it.
Actually, I'll wait. I was about to start working out which games we would have both relegated based on these rules, but then I thought we haven't even announced this list yet, so I'll let you continue. I just start picking it up.
You're too excited to hear my garbled explanation for this terrible idea that I had. So, right, first of all, I think on the last podcast I suggested that we were going to get 12 games and David and I were going to rank them from 1 to 12, and the point system I said was going to be like Mario Kart 8, where you get 15 for winning or whatever. Then as I went away, first of all, I tried to rank my games and realized that was really difficult by myself, and I just couldn't come up with what was number one. So then I also thought about how if David and I both ranked a game at number one and then it had like 30 points, what's the point of the entire knockout phase that comes afterwards if we've already agreed on the winner? It's just going to win, and therefore nothing is exciting for you as a listener. You might as well not bother. It could have just been an email. So what I've changed it to now is that there are 12 games from the pool that David and I have agreed upon. We then have, is that 5 tiers? Yeah, 5 tiers. There are 3 games. Yes. Yes. Well, I've had more than 5 tiers over this, I'm telling you now. So there's S, A, B, C, and D tiers. S and A tier both have 3 slots in them. B, C, and D have 2 slots in them. You get 5 points if the game is in S tier, 4 for A, 3 for 2. What? 3 for B, 2 for C, and 1 for D. So David and I have each now ranked the 12 games individually into those tiers. There will be then a total points that they will get, which will go into a final league table where the top 8 will go into a knockout stage, which is where the meat of this podcast will be, and the bottom 4 will be relegated and will not be in the next round. And we'll give them the talk before we move on the most, because they won't get their day in the sun otherwise.
Are we lucky what we're gonna do? The points has worked out neatly?
Yeah, really fucking lucky, because I don't know what would have happened if we had like more than 3 games on 5 points, because we'd have been boned and we'd have had to do some kind of playoff. This podcast would have lasted like 4 hours. So that tiering system has, luckily this time around, worked out a lot more nicely in that we have a league table that has worked out, and David and I have had to sort of rank the games, but into sort of groups. So you don't know which one is our favorite game. I don't know which one it is yet. So we're going to have to discuss that out, and we'll get through the quarterfinals, semi-finals, into the final, and see crown the king of the first-person shooter genre. And I suppose at the end of this episode, we should probably think of what we would want to do for the next genre as well.
Yeah.
Doesn't even have to be a genre. Could be Nintendo games, could be Capcom games, could be PlayStation games, could be whatever you want. We'll think about that afterwards. This could go on. Well, it's called the genre wars, so I've just kind of ruined that. If it's we're not picking genres, maybe I'll fuck that. Oh well. This is how
come the summer,
chaos behind all of this.
We're going to have to kick off the summer of Resi with this and Resi games.
Yeah, we could do that.
Pod covered Resident Evil games.
Yeah, that would be good.
Tony Hawk games would be a fun one.
Although I don't want to play 12 of them. There's only like 4 that are good. Actually, that's not true. I've not played the Underground games properly. There is that. So before we start talking about the final 12, what has missed out completely that you want to give an honorable mention to in the first person shooter genre? Because I know there's one main one that would have definitely been in my top 12 had you not. I've never played it, or I can't remember what you said the reason was now. I think it was you hadn't played it.
Was this Time Splitters that you're talking about?
No, this was Perfect Dark.
Perfect Dark. Yeah, I've never. I think I've played it on Rare Replay once, but I realised so that sort of era of shooter, played well into me being a kid at that time because I could just sort of find a game I liked and just bash my head about it, and I was quite happy to run about. I found that when I played Perfect Dark as an adult, I was lost 99% of the time, not knowing where I was supposed to go.
There's no real maps in those things. There's really ambiguous objectives.
Yeah, absolutely. But it made me realise that Goldeneye is exactly the same, but for some reason, me and my friends would just sit and work it out. So and it just became that I played that game so much that I just sort of memorized it, and now I've got the nostalgia for it. And yeah, it's just a thing I've never bothered to work up the nostalgia for the game, or just time and place sort of thing that sort of passed.
Yeah, by. If you don't have that, then it's not going to mean anywhere near as much to you. I assume you obviously must have had an N64 experience of playing an N64 with GoldenEye, which is why it was still in this list. Whereas Perfect Dark, for me, like that was, we jumped on that. I mean, my friends and I that played GoldenEye, I had quite a few friends. Most of us had N64s. I didn't really know a lot of PlayStation people. Certainly around the time that those games were coming out, we jumped on Perfect Dark, and it basically replaced GoldenEye and became the new thing that we played like every single time we hung out. The way that you could have bots in the multiplayer maps, that's more what we really played. But the fact that game, lest we forget, also has like I don't even know what they call it, but it's a competitive campaign where the other person can take control of any soldier.
Oh, brilliant.
Any enemy soldier. And you'll still get killed like a bitch the way the soldiers normally do, but you can continually just take over the soldiers that are in the normal first player mode, single player mode. And the other person has to kind of like deal with you being part of the thing. It's a bit of a, like early Dark Souls kind of invasion shit, isn't it? But it's just every level.
Yeah, that's really good.
Yeah, it's for its time, it's far better than GoldenEye, but I think GoldenEye is just more important, and we both have enough good memories of it to sort of stamp out the way it feels to play now.
Well, that's the thing again that when we talk about these lists and make these lists, I constantly have a sort of inward struggle with myself, in that like GoldenEye, for example, is one of probably the most important games in my life. However, if we're talking about making a list now of games that, again, it depends on the parameters. So if it's a David list, GoldenEye absolutely makes a list. If it's a shooters to play today list, I don't think GoldenEye gets anywhere near a list like that. And then if you're making a list of important shooters, it probably makes the list, but I think it's less important than a lot of other games we've got on this list. So like
interesting.
three different scenarios, and then it's like top, middle, bottom of any list.
Yeah.
These lists are inherently difficult to do. Perfect Dark's a game that I'm sad that I probably will never get to sort of experience the fun of. But yeah, it is what it is.
Yeah.
Try to think of games that, I think we probably need to mention, we spoke about this offline, but the Battlefield games, there's no Battlefield game on our list, and I think probably there may have been a Battlefield game on the list if that was a sort of game that we had played at the time. I think the Battlefield games had largely passed us by. I maybe don't want to speak for you, but sort of when I was coming up and starting to play shooters online, it was all about Call of Duty, and the Battlefield games never really came on my radar beyond a sort of the odd poke every so often, and I sort of appreciate them from a distance. However, it's not something I feel like I can speak to, unfortunately.
I've frequently heard you talk about Battlefield Bad Company 2 as an important game for you.
Probably the one and only ones that I could speak to, but yeah, I love those games a lot. Maybe we'll get to go and cover one of those games in a future pod.
I think we should. Yeah, I tried to play Battlefield 3 to kind of give myself to see if there was a reason to put it in this list for myself. And the problem that I had that I've mentioned to you is that if you try and play it on the Series X, even if you download the version on EA Play, it is the 360 version. I guess, which is to be expected, I suppose. It runs terribly. It's 30 FPS. I don't want to play that. I might as well just buy the 360 game and stick it in there. So I tried to play the PC version, but for some reason, the PC version, even though it has controller support, and I can't play mouse and keyboard, as everybody who listens to this podcast will know by now and is sick of me talking about, I should probably just get good or stop complaining. I could use my controller, but the game has QTEs in it. And those QTEs still display on screen as the mouse or keyboard controls, not the controller button. And they actually don't even register the button on the controller. So you have to hold your controller in your hand with your mouse and keyboard below you, ready to press the mouse button on the space bar.
It's not worth it.
If you have a QTE, and I just turned it off.
Do you know what? When it comes to Battlefield 3, I think a lot of people like Battlefield 3, and I think I may annoy people by saying this, but Battlefield 3, I think, is largely well thought of, but I also think it's at an era where it was following rather than in the word. It was copy. It was sort of following the wake that Call of Duty was creating rather than sort of creating its own path at this time. Whereas up to that point, like I don't know, like Battlefield 1942 might be one of the ones where like Battlefield was at its peak, doing its own thing.
What was the console one, and what was the PC one? Wasn't there a 1942 and a 1943, and one was specifically for console? I think 43 is console. Yeah, I'm not sure.
Yeah, but yeah, Battlefield was great because its sort of USP was it had vehicles and things like that.
Absolutely.
Would have added anything like that.
And then I played the few minutes of Battlefield 3 I played. It's like I'm jumping in the roof of a train and like running through a train, gunning people down. And I thought, what?
Yeah.
This isn't a Battlefield. This feels like like you say, it feels like Modern Warfare sort of from
0.5.
Temu or whatever. Yeah.
So to me, that's always going to sort of hold it back.
I was surprised by the tone of it.
We both played a decent amount of Wolfenstein New Order, which we were both big fans of, but there's some...
There is some bullshit in there. It's not as bad as the second game in terms of the difficulty spikes, but it is still quite frustrating at times. I don't like the fact that you have to press buttons to pick up everything, ammo, all that kind of stuff.
Was that
and
some in that era, or was that just a decision? I
remember it being weird at the time. Yeah, whether they were trying to, because I don't even know if you had to do that in the original Wolfenstein.
Like I can see that in a game, like if you had tried to make a first-person. I'm not trying to give them ideas, like a first-person shooter, like Resident Evil, because like in the first-person Resident Evil games, for example, you're trying to create a sense of unease, and it's a sort of semi-survival horror game. So I can understand why you'd have to pick stuff up in a game like that. A game where you're running about is all about action, like Wolfenstein. You should just be grabbing it and going, just grabbing. Yeah, and go.
It's an immersive sim mentality, isn't it? It's like a BioShock or a Dishonored, where you pick up everything. Fallout, you pick up everything. But as you said, this game is so relentless. It's just kind of like, I don't understand how I'm supposed to. You just run through areas, just spamming the X button to pick stuff up. Just I don't care what's on the floor now because I haven't got time to look because I'm going to get killed.
It also does the old spawn enemies until you hit checkpoints, which I've got such a
I completely agree with that.
There was I was speaking about it because I was
kept getting spawned behind me through doors that were definitely locked or not even there, and I was getting really pissed off by that. And some of the robot enemies in this are brutal.
Yes,
ages to take down.
So yeah, like it feels and handles great. You know, like the actual shooting in the game is phenomenal. I love that they made a story that's quite fun. It's like a 90s action movie of BJ Blazkowicz.
Yeah, I think he's a brilliant character in it. Like they hit the tone of him so spot on. Like he's actually kind of likable. He's kind of thoughtful.
Yeah,
and he's like existential as well, but he's still kind of gruff and sort of tough with it. And then all the Germans are just hilariously camp and over the top.
Yeah, they're like so
real fucking camp
bastards. Over the top. It's they're just great fun. But yeah,
I mean, think of that as like the 13th game. I would say.
I would say so. Yeah.
Yeah.
Try to think. Is there anything else you want to mention First person.
Time Splitters. I was a big fan of Time Splitters because spiritual successor to Goldeneye back in the day.
Time
Specifically, the
Splitters 2
second
was the one I remember liking.
That's the one I started off liking, but the third one I played more of, especially in the multiplayer with my friends. And I think the campaign in the third one is really good. It's kind of like hopping all over time periods. It pokes fun at itself. It's got a good sense of humor, and you can also move while aiming as well. There's just that game, weirdly, for such a revered shooter that is effectively about being in all these different time periods with all these different types of weapons. It just feels really lightweight, which is something we're probably going to repeat throughout this, or not throughout, but at least once or twice before this podcast is done, where the guns feel like they have no weight to them and the impact from them is a bit off, which is a shame.
Yeah.
But I think the Time Splitters future perfect. If you get it on a Series X and play that, it's you won't feel like it's shit.
I absolutely love those games. And you may not remember this, but Time Splitters 2 has made an appearance on a Winners U podcast in a previous incarnation. Its first incarnation, when we used to record this, like shouting into your Mac, sitting on it
was on fire on the floor on
the floor of your flat in Aberdeen. Because there was one of the questions, were we asking each other questions, or we'd asked someone to ask us questions? And one of the questions was, if you could be a professional at any video game, which game would it be? And my answer was Time Splitters 2, because there's a time trial mode in that where you've got to, you drive around a taxidermied cat on trolley wheels, and there's a time trial mode. And on the Xbox Live, I was number 12 on the leaderboard for that. Game.
Yeah, that kind of almost rings a bell, actually. I remember we used to do those questions to each other, and they would be quite ludicrous as well. Like, who would win in a fight, Lara Croft or Nathan Drake and stuff like that. They were good fun.
My favourite one
you were a demon at making those questions up.
We used to do was when we used to read fan fiction.
Well, I know former listeners to this podcast, to that version of the podcast, that still lament we don't do that anymore. But honestly, lads, we can't. We just can't anymore. It becomes less funny.
Into weird, like, Mario porn, didn't it?
I think the thing that broke us is Sonic, because that fan base cannot be trusted with anything. Least of all fan fiction, and I think that ruined it for her. We just couldn't do any more after we did Sonic.
I wish I could remember what it was, but I've just got this memory of there being one about Battlefield that we read that was amazing, and we were just I just can't remember anything about it other than us just laughing from start to finish.
Yeah, it was basically like he's in Battlefield, isn't he? And then he's just like basically like curb stomping everybody around and flying about. That was funny. But yeah, the first one, the Mario and Peach's wedding night, I remember that one being very, very funny.
Oh yeah, that was good. But yeah, the only other sort of nod I would like to give is you and I had quite a lot of discussion about Doom games and Call of Duty games and which ones we wanted to include. From a Call of Duty perspective, I think I could have easily included 4 Call of Duty games and being quite happy with the quality of those games, but in terms of making an interesting podcast, we had to be brutal there.
Yeah, I after you had initially said, David basically went into to our spreadsheet that we've got for this, where we had like the pool of games, and he started to rank his games already. And when he did his ranking, he wrote Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2, and I looked at it and went, 2? Is that better? So then he said that I think you said that you liked it more. So I thought, oh shit, all right, well, I'm going to have to go play it now. So I played it. I got to the favela thing. I think the problem is that I did the training mission too quickly and set the difficulty to hardened and just got fucking annihilated. And the favela mission is just a dickhead. That is the ultimate spawn, people behind you constantly. And they're you turn around a corner and there's like 8 guys stood on a roof shooting you from different angles, and you're just dying every second.
Spec Ops of that fairly recently.
I find that really stressful as well. That specific level of spec. I fucking hate that favela thing. But then I made the mistake of watching G-Man afterwards, because he ranked the Call of Duty campaigns, and then I, like you, was like, shall I go play Black Ops? Is Black Ops the one that should be in there? Like, I just couldn't. Yeah, I couldn't come to the one that I decided I wanted in there. But I think what we've done is we've come to like the most important change in the series and one from the series roots as a World War II shooter to sort of represent that whole genre of shooter, and I think that's the right way to have done it.
I agree, and also I will say that like I'm probably one of these the lesser spotted person that never got bored with the World War II shooter. Like when everyone was sick of it, I was still like, I like these games. I still like these.
Yeah. But I don't like the ones they make now. I don't like the Call of Duty World War II. I want World of War. I want World at War to work in multiplayer without cheaters in it, and I would be playing that today.
Do you know what? Like I have I've got another group of mates that play games that we constantly disagree on this, and I am like a one man island with this opinion. And that like, when they talk about things in multiplayer, given like being able to buy skins and things like that, depending on the game, like I'm so anti skin because like in a game like Battlefield 1 is probably the best example of a game that like Battlefield and Call of Duty, for example, used to be super serious, like World War II, World War One shooters, but nobody can, and like people say like, oh, it doesn't matter if it's cosmetic because you can choose not to buy it. But like there comes a point where you cannot deny that the ability to create a game that they can sell cosmetics begins to impact the design of the game. And it stops being, so like for example, Apex or Overwatch would probably not look how they look if you couldn't buy skins. So like the entirety of the game design is like from a visual perspective is dictated by being able to sell you skins. So this is why like modern World War II games are not interesting to me, because they become comic book versions of themselves. There's no like let's tell a serious story. It's like, oh, let's sell a jacket, or like, I know it's not World War II, but like Call of Duty, I was listening to a Jeff Gerstmann podcast recently, and like Peter Griffin, Nicki Minaj, and Snoop Dogg were like three of the skins in the lobby, and it's just like, that's not what
in a World War II game.
Yeah, it's just like, this is not what I want.
No, that's a bit disrespectful, really.
Yeah, I think so. So
why do we care? Why do we care about skins? But I mean, Apex, we fucking cared about skins. We couldn't even see them.
No,
couldn't even see them.
You see them.
Very bizarre. What was I going to say? What were we talking about?
We were recommending some honourable mentions.
Oh, yes, Overwatch. I think we both agreed Overwatch is, although it is a hero shooter, and it's a first-person shooter that we plowed a lot of time into, there are other mechanics at play there that made us feel like not quite a pure first-person shooter when you can be a healer or a guy with a big fucking hammer.
We spoke about that, and I think like sort of my two main, probably my two main characters would have been Reinhardt and Mercy. So I spent most of my time with that game not shooting any guns. And I'm also like fully willing to accept, and I think I said this to you before, like my opinion on Overwatch is so tainted by the way it's been treated over the last.
I was just about to say this.
I struggle to have a unbiased opinion in that game.
I think it's tainted my memories of it.
Yeah,
because I mean, I loved it. That's where I met all your Scottish mates. We played Overwatch. We had some incredible times.
We were all getting online and hanging out, and some of those like because there was about 8 of us sometimes, and we could just fill a map.
It was
just so much fun.
All versus all. What do they call that?
Was it all versus all? And you had to get a kill with each character. Was that the rule?
Yeah. There was something like that. Or with each gun, or
once you died, you could only have one gun
again.
I can't remember. We had loads of games that we used to play. That was so good.
Yeah, I mean, it was unbelievable. But now, Overwatch just isn't cool anymore. This has just been totally ruined by a company that seems really fucking sketch.
And you can't get Overwatch now. Like it's all Overwatch 2, and the whole reason that they turned Overwatch into Overwatch 2 never came out. The single player campaign.
Yeah. It's just shameless.
Sometimes if you catch me in the right mood, I'm like, did they even ever intend to do that? Or were they just trying to move their fan base on and monetize them again?
Both. You'd hope both is the best thing that you can say about that.
Jason Schreier book that I've audibled recently. they did try.
Right. Okay.
Got pulled away by Suits, but who knows? Who knows?
Mm-hmm. The Suits are still part of the company.
Yeah. But this is a happier podcast.
It is a happier podcast. We've got our 12 games.
Sorry, do you want to mention Super Hot?
You made the good point that is, I posited it as a potential because it's like nothing else.
So different.
And but I think you made a good point of it. It kind of does sometimes feel more like a puzzle game than a shooter, and I agree with that.
Great game though.
Oh, it's so cool. It's like one of the coolest games I've ever played.
That makes me think like every so often, VR might be cool.
I've played it in VR. It's the only thing I've really played in VR. It's sick. Yeah. It's really good fun. I'll tell you what. So can I? You know what? I'm just going to.
If anyone's interested, because I did say one of two. Then
really difficult. I remember that someone showed me. Basically, the guy that. It was Peter, who we used to play Apex Legends with. He got an Oculus Quest.
Legends, that and Rocket League. Nothing but those two games. I bet he's still stealing loot from everyone.
Of course he is. I forgot. Yeah, that goblin. He got an Oculus Quest and he brought it into the office one day when I was still working with him, and he had Beat Saber and Super Hot on there, and he was like, "Oh, I've downloaded a song for you on Beat Saber," and it was Banjo-Kazooie theme. But if you know what the Banjo-Kazooie theme is, it's like and it's so. I was like, this is impossible. You've ruined this game and that song for me in one go. Well done. Thanks for that.
Thanks, Peter. Let's go back to stealing my.
Unbelievable. Yeah. God, I used to get genuinely furious with him. To the point where I think I had to start just texting you instead, didn't I? Because I was like, I work with this man. I can't just scream at him over voice chat. I have to just take a step away and just slag him off behind his back.
Do you know what he remember? Because he plays Rocket League. I bet you he is like the thing that always reminds me of him is that offside goal that got chalked off when Ronaldo scored a goal, but Nani nicked it. Right at the end, headed it in. That's Peter. I bet he does that in Rocket League all the time. Just someone scored a goal and he just runs up and taps it in, steals it and runs off.
He probably, but I bet he's also shit hot at that game. He has to be, otherwise what's he doing? Yeah, one of his 2 games in his life. He has to be good at it.
Better be good.
But yeah, we've got 12 games vying for the title of the king of the FPS genre in alphabetical order, which I'm going to be doing on the fly. They are Apex Legends, BioShock, Doom, Doom 2016. I've already fucked it.
I know you missed them, 2 of them.
Apex Legends, BioShock, Call of Duty 2. For the World War II lads, Call of Duty Modern Warfare for everybody else, Doom 2016, GoldenEye 007, Half-Life 2, Halo Combat Evolved, and Left 4 Dead and Titanfall 2. I think I've said them all.
I can't believe you just did that so quickly on the fly, Alex.
Without any need for editing.
Yeah.
Which I hope you'll remember to do when you do the video. But, dear listener, if you want to see what I might be talking about, if David forgets where it is, it will be probably more likely to be in the video than it is in the audio.
Yeah. I again, we've touched on this. Call of Duty Modern Warfare, we picked because it's probably the best Call of Duty game. Call of Duty 2, because it's a really, really good World War II games, and we thought they were different.
I think it's the best World War II game.
We could include them. I agree. And then again, the same with Doom and Doom 2016. In my mind, they're just different games. So they are both called Doom.
Yeah, even though anybody who said Doom 2016 is amazing because it feels like a modernized version of Doom, they are also correct there.
They are.
But, I mean, come on. They feel so distinctly different that even if Doom 2016 is paying an homage to the original, it's still one of the best shooter campaigns of the last decade or two. So yeah. Now, I think we'll talk about we'll say our tier lists, and then we will reveal the final table, and we'll talk about the ones that were relegated before we then rank them. So we don't need to go too far into why they are where they are, I suppose, at this point, because we're going to be pairing them off against each other from a random drawing in the quarterfinals in a minute.
Yes.
So in my S tier, I had Halo Combat Evolved, Doom, and Titanfall 2. What do you have?
I've got Titanfall 2, Doom, and Call of Duty Modern Warfare.
Right, so all those games. So I think there's 4 games in there. Each of those got 5 points for that. In the A tier, in the A tier, I had Doom 2016, Apex Legends, and Call of Duty Modern Warfare.
I've got Apex Legends, Apex Legends, Halo Combat Evolved, and Doom 2016.
Yeah, and they all got 4 points in there as well. In the B tier, I had Half-Life 2, which may upset some people, I think, and GoldenEye 007.
I've got Left 4 Dead and Call of Duty 2.
In the C tier, for 2 points, I had Call of Duty 2 and sadly Duke Nukem 3D.
I'm quite sad for both of my C tiers, Half-Life 2 and Duke Nukem 3D.
And in the D tier, I had Left 4 Dead and BioShock.
I've got GoldenEye 007 and BioShock.
So that tier listing with those points totals combined puts in first place, joint first place in our league table, we have Doom and Titanfall 2 on 10 points. In joint third place, we have Halo Combat Evolved and Call of Duty Modern Warfare on 9 points. In joint fifth, we have Apex Legends and Doom 2016 on 8 points. And in joint seventh, we have Call of Duty 2 and Half-Life 2.
Split, I like that.
Yeah.
There's no.
There's pairings. Yeah. So the relegated teams that are not going into the quarterfinal stage are GoldenEye 007, Duke Nukem 3D, and Left 4 Dead that all got 4 points. And bottom in 12th place is BioShock, which I still really, really love. I think it's one of the best games of its generation. I think in terms of like an immersive world, pretty much unbeatable. But as a shooter, against these shooters, I think round about the bottom is correct. I don't think of BioShock being great because of the shooting. I like the powers that you get. I like shooting bees at people or freezing them or chucking shit around. It's very frantic as a game. Everything is just on top of you at all times. You can't really... They made these promises of like an ecosystem where the big daddies are going to attack all the enemies for you and you can turn the machines against them. Often it just plays out where everybody's just on top of you in seconds and it's just screaming women and alarms going off, and you can't have the finesse that they promised.
Again, I periodically think about this game and you and I sometimes wonder if this is one of the games that you and I just have the most different opinion about. Like, so I agree with you in terms of like world and atmosphere. It's almost second to none. It's great. I just think the actual action of the actual action of playing the game is much less fun than, or it hasn't aged as well, perhaps.
I agree.
And like you're saying, like they talk about like the atmosphere is great, but they never really give you the chance to sit and absorb it at any point. So I think it's right. I think I agree with you in that it's probably certainly one of the most important shooters of the 360 generation from a story perspective.
It's an icon, isn't it?
Yeah, it's completely iconic. But I think in terms of if you're talking about pure shooter, I think it's probably in the right place.
I don't think I'd put anything in here because of its story, because I'm not thinking about that right now. I'm thinking about shooting people.
Yes.
That's why Duke Nukem's in here. There's no story in that, other than some alien bastard shot up his ride or something.
That's all you need.
Yeah. So BioShock sadly is, represented here. I think when we were building our lists, we probably had we probably went straight in there with like maybe 6 to 8 that we were just both agreed on, like boom, 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 boom. Yep, it has to be these ones. And then we kind of had to jump around the internet to sort of remind ourselves or whatever. And I think I saw so many lists of best FPS games of all time, and BioShock was in every fucking one of them, that I thought, well, we better put it in because clearly that's what everybody sees it as. They don't see it as an immersive sim or a horror game or a story, a narrative based sort of thing. It's in all these shooter lists. So, let's put it in here and then swiftly sweep it away.
I do have like vague memories of always feeling like I was sort of flying by the seat of my pants in that game in a way that felt like I hadn't done in other games. And like this is the game, isn't it, where you would have like sometimes it would telegraph that fights are coming, so you would have to set up traps and things around different fighting areas, and that was great because again, like I always felt like I was coming out of these encounters like just like hobbling along like
totally
like that hadn't just come out clean where I do in a lot of games. I was just like coming out barely alive, like bloody, bruised, battered. The game was great for that. Left 4 Dead is a game that I'm sad that's being cut because I just love the movie that each individual like game can get split up into almost its own movie, and you travel through that, and it's sort of an encapsulated narrative. And I do think there's the sort of vaunted AI director, as you'd be walking around, you could just hear like a witch crying, and you're like, oh no, where is she? And is she somewhere that like she's blocking a path that we're gonna have to deal with her, or can we get around her? And then just sort of the end levels, like we're talking about the frantic nature of some of the Bioshock elements. Like the end of a Bioshock, a Left 4 Dead level is frantic beyond anything I've ever encountered in my life. You sit and you get time to sort of set up for an attack, and then you think you've got your shit together, but by the end of it, when you're trying to escape, it's just every man for themselves, balls to the wall. All your traps, all your like forts that you've built up are just like falling down around your ears, and you're just trying to get either to like the helicopter at the top of the hospital or wherever you're trying to go. Love that game. Got some of my favourite memories playing that game.
I think almost all of my memories of that game are playing it with you.
Tell you that hospital level, man, so good.
Yeah, I think we've always agreed that the shooting is I'd say is amongst the most lightweight of all of these games, where it doesn't always feel that.
I don't want to say visceral,
but yeah,
it's the same. There's no feedback. Yeah, it's one of the things that like Bungie have always been good at as a developer is giving the weapon some heft. And some feedback, and feeling like making firing a shotgun feel different from firing a pistol or firing an assault rifle. Whereas to me, Left 4 Dead, all the guns feel the same. I also feel like when you're moving around on ice, almost like ice.
Yeah, you really are.
Yeah,
it's hard to disagree with that.
Which is a real shame.
I think that's why that's probably why I put it. Where did I put it? D tier. Even though it's as a multiplayer experience, it is great fun, and I had a lot of fun actually at uni when I wasn't playing the game with you, doing it in my flat with the sort of what do they call it these days? Not asynchronous, asymmetrical. What do they call it?
I don't know.
The ones where someone's the enemies, you're the and you're the whatever.
I don't know.
What are they called?
I've forgotten. I know what you mean.
Yeah. Where you could get to be the zombies and stuff, and you could like kind of hang off the top of a building as the grabber or whatever, and like pull people up the smoke or whatever it was. Such good fun. Like I say, it's a really cool idea.
It's one of the few games on this list that I wouldn't want to play my own as well. It's probably also a negative.
Not because you're scared either, because it's just
not the same.
It's just no fun in it.
Yeah.
I don't know if we've covered every single game in this list thus far, but just want to jump in quickly and say that Bioshock we covered in episode 3 of this podcast, and Left 4 Dead we covered in episode 20. If anybody wants to go back and listen to,
I think we did 1 and 2,
a couple of hours. Oh, we probably did actually. Yeah, we probably did. Yeah, good point. I don't think we've done Duke Nukem 3D or Goldeneye podcasts.
No,
we probably never will.
We've got. I take it we're gonna mention, because there's others in here that we've done. I take it we'll mention them when we get there.
I'll try to. Yeah, I was trying to flick through the episode list at the time that I was doing it. In fact,
but we've never. The only other one we've done is Halo.
We've done
Titanfall 2.
Yeah, we did briefly when we used to do the quick fire top 5 episodes. We did one on Apex Legends characters. I think that's episode 18. If anyone wants to go listen to some talk about some nonsense,
we felt we had to get it in there somewhere. Given that I think that was my most played game for like 3 years in the bounce on my.
Yeah, I think I've got over a month's worth of playtime in that. You will have more than me. But if you want to listen to us talk about Apex Legends, basically do like the first 25 episodes of this podcast, and we'll probably mention it at the beginning of every single one,
probably
because we were obsessed with it. But more on that later. Duke Nukem 3D, I think you picked up after I did as well.
I don't because I own that on PS1. I don't think I do anymore. But I used to be member. And unfortunately, none of these things exist anymore. But I used to be part of like a retro games club where it was like, I can't remember how much. Let's say a tenner a month, and then you'd fill out a list and tell them which consoles you owned, and then they'd send you a game a month. And I think I got Duke Nukem 3D one day and on PS1. And so yeah, I had played it before, but yeah, I played it again recently on Xbox, and that's the way to play it. Yeah, it's so good.
Yeah,
it's so good.
I just went to go check because I think this is the only version I own of it is the N64 version,
nice,
which is rated 18, even though it has loads of stuff cut out of it. So I'm not really sure.
Have they got the strip?
Why they did that? Nope.
No.
Nope. Not even. And I think the ones where the women are in the pods at the end, they're not in there either.
Weird.
And probably says less swearing. Yeah, exactly. Duke Nukem 3D is just a hell of a lot of fun. It's very difficult.
Yes. Oh, it's brutal. It kicked my ass when I was playing it.
Yeah. It's just so fast. It's like the game's built fast forward. You're playing at like 2 times speed.
The wheels come off so quickly as well, though. I'd find like sometimes you just like walk around a corner and all hell would break loose, and you're like, "Oh my god!" So and then I'd die, and I'm like, "Right, well, I know what's going to happen when I go around that corner." So I'm like creeping round, trying to set it off so that I can like get all these little warthog pig things into a corridor and just mow them down.
Yeah. Cool, I've got the rocket launcher. Oh wait, no, everything's going to come straight at me and I'm going to get killed by my own explosion over and over again.
And then the game will encourage you to like sort of retrace your steps, and then all of a sudden like a window will open and then enemies will just start like smashing.
They love a bit of that. They fucking love that.
Cheers, lads.
Yeah. I mean, I respect the fact that they're trying to make backtracking slightly more interesting, but it's also just making it a constant slog of being attacked. Luckily, you do have a shitload of awesome weapons to fight back with, like the freeze ray, the shrink ray, even like the, I can't remember what the name of it is, but it's like this sort of automatic,
I need to go back
and kind of assault rifle sort of thing.
I had such a good time.
Definitely. Yeah, and of course, Duke Nukem, probably problematic in 2025, but back in the 90s was a fucking legend.
See, before Randy Pitchford got a hold of him, I think so I went into I think I texted you about this, but I went into this game like fully expecting to hate him, and I was like, actually, I quite like him. He's just like so silly and over the top. There's nothing serious about him. I know like people say, problematic, but it's like obvious. He's like, to me, he's like almost a parody of himself. So like I'm just like I don't find it offensive. I found it funny.
He was pared back enough in that first game, although at the time he was like utterly like over the top ludicrous. But when you see the way that they went way too far with it in the Duke Nukem Forever, it was just sad the way that they kind of portrayed him in that. Like at the beginning, like for
our website, didn't you? You wrote a review.
I did. That's one of the most fun reviews to write ever. But to play that game, I had absolutely no fun. Like you're picking up a piece of shit at the beginning, and like all the women there are like throwing themselves at him, and all the men think he's the greatest. It just did not. It had this overinflated sense of what Duke was, and it just didn't understand the character at all. It's just like it didn't see how preposterous he was. It just thought he was the greatest thing since sliced bread and played it too straight. It's really weird.
Can you remember
in 3D's quality?
So the bit I've got sort of in my mind of that game is there's something happening on a football field, like an NFL football field. What is that, a boss fight? What's going on? What, can you remind me of that?
Yeah, that was basically to try and do a callback to one of the ones that's in Duke Nukem 3D, the one where he says he's going to rip his head off and shit down his neck, and then after you finish the boss fight, he rips the boss's head off and then sits on his neck and does a shit while he's reading his paper. See, that was good in 3D. But when they tried to just copy that again and forever, it was pathetic.
Yeah. And then our other relegated candidate is
yeah. This one makes me sad because we all know that GoldenEye, it's getting a bit rote now, isn't it? Everyone knows GoldenEye plays like shit, especially if you put it in an N64 and it chugs along.
Yeah.
But my God, this was everything to me when I was 11 and 12. Just, it was why I wanted my N64. I got it with my N64. My dad wanted to play it because it was Bond. I just could not stop. I just thought it was the greatest thing I'd ever seen. And to me, it is, alongside maybe two other games in this. Oh, there's too many important games in here. But for console first-person shooters, this is probably arguably the most important, because there weren't really any first-person shooters on console when GoldenEye 007 came out. Other games have totally taken first-person shooters on consoles into new directions that the rest of time has then caught up to and followed along. But there was basically nothing before GoldenEye that was worth even talking about or even being tried. And for like a first-time go at bringing this kind of thing into 3D gaming consoles, it was unbelievable. I mean, it was everywhere. It was everything to the industry at that point on the N64. Considering that console is like, Nintendo sort of creating so many 3D genres like 3D Zelda and Mario and stuff, and yet a lot of people are going to think N64 equals GoldenEye, and they didn't even Nintendo didn't even make it.
Just echo everything you said about that. I think it's important to, like, if there's any younger listeners, to like mention that like it was a sort of accepted fact that first person shooters didn't work on console back in the day. Like, it was just a thing that couldn't be done and didn't work because mouse and keyboard were so much better. Doom on PC was just epic. The Quake was around by that point and things like that. And GoldenEye showed you that it could be done. And yeah, probably, I mean, like, it's clunky, it is awkward, but see, like, once you sort of figure out how to play it, and if PC isn't something you were exposed to, it was a perfectly adequate way to play a first-person shooter. It oozed personality. It did different things that games weren't doing. Like, it looked great for the time. The graphics were shit hot. It was like, there's even like little bits where you could like, so you had to try and avoid killing like the scientists and things like that, which was unusual for that. Like, usually shooters up to this point was just like, if you see a body, shoot it. And like, there's just like little things like, obviously, that have been surpassed by Half-Life 2 and things like that, like physics in games. But like, there was a moment I remember setting off a mine in a level, and I blew one of the scientists like through a window, and I was just like, I've never seen anything like that in a game at all. It also came along at a time when Bond itself was being reinvigorated by the Pierce Brosnan era. It was something that I became obsessed with because of my age. I remember, I think I've said this before in a podcast, but at the time that this came out, you could rent videos in the local Spar for £1 a night, and I think I must have made my mum spend about like 40. She could have just bought me the video of GoldenEye. The amount of times I made her rent it. It ended up that she would just go and get it for me without me even asking, because she knew how much I loved that movie.
It's so rare that a movie tie-in game ends up being the coattails that are ridden by the movie it's based on. But that GoldenEye, the movie, is so elevated by the fact this game exists. I became a Bond fan
because of the game. And when usually it's sort of the other way around when you come to things like that. The game will sort of augment fans. But no, this game turned me into, well, a Bond fan until the most recent Bond movie.
Mm-hmm. 4-player split screen. That didn't exist before this, really.
Ended many a friendship.
Yeah, not allowed to play Odd Job. Let's have a go of slappers only. Or actually, let's have all rocket launch. Like, just endless creativity and customization. Yeah. Just a wonderful game that is incredibly important, but, has been surpassed a lot of times.
Oh, it has. And it's so far left behind. I just think, like, the modern gamer, unless you're from that era, it's difficult to appreciate for what it was doing.
I just got a WhatsApp. I'm just going to show Pikmin guy to any of those.
Yes,
watching. It's just text me saying you played Oblivion yet. No, I had to play. I had to play Wolfenstein and Call of Duty and some few minutes of Battlefield 3 because I decided to do this. Right, that's the relegated games gone. Yeah. Sad to see Duke and Goldeneye go.
What's the one you're most
all of them, really.
Going? If you had to pick,
it's got to be Goldeneye.
Goldeneye.
It's got to be Goldeneye. Yeah.
Although
you put a D tier, so I don't accept that agreement. It's your fault.
Probably is, yeah. Unfortunately.
Yeah, I put it B purely because of its importance. I'm not putting it B on quality, that's for sure.
Yeah.
So I think what we'll do now, shall I share my screen? Is this going to go on the, can we make this go on the video, or is it too difficult?
Yeah, share your screen.
Yeah. So I'm going to do this
with my screen so I can make sure
I'm on
up okay.
wheelofnames.com, which I don't actually know if this is going to pick them one by one, but we'll see what happens. So I'm going to share my screen.
What's the word? Embiggen. That's the right word, isn't it?
Hey, that's a Simpsons word, mate. I'll take it. Stream that. Does it pause everything?
No, it's still going. I've got a black screen at the moment. I'll let you know when it's arrived. And yeah, okay, I've got it. I've got it up big.
Okay. So now it's time, everybody.
Yeah. So what's happening here?
We are now going to draw the quarterfinals for the genre wars, for the first-person shooter genre wars. So we have our final 8 games. One more time, they are Doom, Titanfall 2, Halo Combat Evolved, Call of Duty Modern Warfare, Apex Legends, Doom 2016, Call of Duty 2, and Half-Life 2. They are on wheelofnames.com. They have been entered in. We are going to spin the wheel to draw the quarterfinals. Then I'm going to go grab a beer, and then we're going to fight the games against each other. So the first game in the first quarterfinal is...
I've got a wee bit of sound effects as well, like that.
Yeah, there's going to be applause. It's going to suck.
Oh!
It's Call of Duty Modern Warfare. Oh, there's a whooping man as well.
What was I doing today? I think it was on Instagram today, and I saw a video of someone that had added a sort of speaker to their, was it a Roomba? Is that like the Hoover, little disc Hoover that goes about? And every time it crashed into something, it started screaming, "God damn it!" And I was just absolutely loving that. Half-Life.
Oh my god! So you got Call of Duty,
an instant
Modern Warfare versus Half-Life 2.
But there's not a good matchup here, I don't think. They're all going to be brutal.
Yeah. I like as well. Oh, I can mute it. I've just muted it. I can remove the games, which is how this works. That's excellent. Oh, you want the sounds, do you?
Yeah, get it on. It's funny.
Okay. So for the second quarterfinal now, we have Doom 2016.
We're going to have Doom versus Doom.
Oh, that would be stupid. That would be really stupid, but that would be quite funny. And it would serve me right, wouldn't it? For this idea, right, remove that. Here we go. It's Doom 2016 versus... It's not going to be Doom.
It's going to be Halo.
Oh, versus Halo Combat Evolved! So that means we could end up with the Doom final, because we have now got the quarterfinals, the left-hand side of the draw. Now we'll see... The semi-finals will be contested by one of Call of Duty Modern Warfare, Half-Life 2, Doom 2016, and Halo Combat Evolved on that side.
One of those is going to be a finalist.
What? Yes, you're right. You're absolutely right. Yeah. So now we're on to the right-hand side of the draw to draw quarter-final number...
Try to think, what do I not want to be matching up? I'll have a look when you spin this. I don't want...
So we've got...
An Apex Titanfall might be a bit tricky.
Yeah, that's going to be a bit rough. Call of Duty 2, I feel sorry for at this point.
Doom's out. Doom is out.
Yep. And it does mean that it will be a Doom final if they both get there, because that is going to avoid. I don't know what I'm talking about.
I wish. You know how Doom is sort of loosely based on John Carmack's D&D campaign. I wish I knew.
Oh yeah,
some written lore that I could just understand this Doom Apex. I wish I could just understand what was going on, because they played that for years, didn't they?
Oh, I see. You want to understand
what was so good about it?
Yeah,
there must be like, it's a bit like the Doom 2016 where people used to like talking about it in videos. Oh, it's actually got quite a good story if you read the data pads. Who the fuck's reading the data pads?
Just for posterity, we have Titanfall 2 is the top named game on that part of the draw, and it will be facing off against Call of Duty 2.
Spin the wheel. Does it let you spin the wheel?
Oh dear. Call of Duty 2 obviously drawn to a rapturous applause.
Yeah,
and a whoop.
It needs its whoop.
There it is. There it is. I don't even know if any of that noise is going to come through on the recording. It's probably not. So that's the end of that.
It'll be very
so
quiet.
We have
I can hear it, which means it's coming through.
We have, therefore, for our quarterfinals, Call of Duty Modern Warfare versus Half-Life 2, Doom 2016 versus Halo Combat Evolved, Doom Original versus Apex Legends. Oh, man. Titanfall 2 versus Call of Duty 2. I'm going to go grab a beer, and after this short intermission, we're going to do COD Modern Warfare versus Half-Life 2. See you in a sec. Here we go.
What beer have you got?
I've got something called Kanpai, which is 50% Japanese rice lager. Kanpai is Japanese for cheers, and it's got like a...
It's incredibly Simpsons.
Mr. Sparkle.
Yeah, I like that.
So I will banish this beer to the land of wind and ghosts. Also, actually, I've just realised on the sort of... What do you call this? Like the wraparound thing, the sleeve, we've got a bit of Godzilla in there and what appears to be a Magikarp.
Oh, yes.
This better be good now. Beautiful. Beautiful. I didn't know rice could make such nice beer.
Well, it makes nice wine.
Good point. Fucking hell. Call of Duty Modern Warfare versus Half-Life 2. You had it in C tier. I had Half-Life 2 in B tier. I did play quite a lot of Half-Life 2 for this. And I don't think... I do think in some ways it holds up. Again, it has that Valve floatiness about the shooting.
Uh-huh.
And I know that this was a real groundbreaking, maybe more so the first game. Groundbreaking way of telling a story.
Yeah, it blew the off.
Just the way that it tried to tell the story of like you being this silent protagonist, everyone's kind of the story's happening around you instead of in cutscenes. I kind of found it a bit pervasive. I don't know if that's because I was pervasive, like intrusive.
Okay.
Kind of found it a bit intrusive on my enjoyment of the game. Now I don't know if that's because I was just trying to rush to get this game finished to try and gauge it. Yeah, and it just slowed itself down a lot. Especially at the beginning, it's incredibly slow to start this game. You're just listening to people standing around, watching them. Like, you can't skip stuff. So although it's like, hey, no more cutscenes, baby, the game happens around you. It's like, yeah, but I want the game to fuck off so I can play it. You can't make it because you can't skip it. So that was a bit of a shame. And some of the levels do just go on like too long. There's a level... multiple levels where you're on like a kind of motorboat thing.
Yes, I know what you mean.
Just goes on forever.
It's a pain in the ass, right?
It's just trying to shoot you a lot. Yeah. Also, this isn't talked about very much, but I am of a very strong belief that this has one of the worst soundtracks I've ever heard in games. It's terrible.
Yeah, I can't.
It's fucking horrible noise in my ears. Obviously, the physics in this is where it's at. That is for me like the key.
The physics are where it's at,
point.
but also I think it's important to sort of highlight that it, for all that like the video game industry has improved in terms of its narrative storytelling. We were giving BioShock props earlier for sort of kicking the industry on. I think you probably do need to at least, or we need to at least acknowledge what Half-Life did. Like, people love that story, and people love that story to this day. They just never finished it. And I think
Oh, sorry, right. The whole story. Yeah.
And I think that by like modern standards, yes, it is annoying, but actually, when it came out, that was quite groundbreaking, and there hadn't really been much.
Yeah, definitely, it was.
It felt like this is a world that you're existing in, and I also do agree with everything you're saying, and like the story is happening around you. You're sort of incidental. Sort of a non-participant in the story beyond being you're sort of a key character in terms of action.
Yeah, everyone knows who you are. Everybody's talking to you.
You don't speak to anyone at any point in the game whatsoever. You just sort of walk around in silence, and the story just becomes around you, and the characters sort of develop a relationship with you that is completely one-sided because you just don't reciprocate it in any way. And like it does the thing where you don't start off with guns and things again, which again was unusual for things like that. And the thing I struggle with.
Yeah. And you have a pistol for a very long time, a pistol and a crowbar for so long.
It does a lot of interesting things. And I'm speaking about myself here. It's easy for me to forget how much that game and how much, I'm trying to think how to reword this, how much we have in our modern shooters we have to thank for what Half-Life and Half-Life 2 did. Even if by modern standards it's quite frustrating.
Yeah, there's no aim down sights either, so it's all just kind of firing.
Maybe it would have happened anyway, but maybe I'm drawing parallels that are just like tenuous. But even the sort of like the modern God of War games feel like the lack of cutscenes and sort of building the cutscene or the story into the game without sort of having a hard cut. There's just so many games that I've sort of learned from that and maybe done it better, but that doesn't mean what it was doing was not important.
Yeah. And it doesn't have no shooting chops because the gravity gun is just a work of art.
Is one of the best weapons ever made, I think, in games, I would say.
I think that's an absolutely acceptable shout, that picking up those saw blades in Ravenholm and chopping off the walk-in headcrab dudes' heads, absolutely
still
brilliant.
Satisfying.
Yeah. So it's just hilarious, like endless potential to just twat around with stuff in that. You can pick up basically anything and fire it. But you have to play basketball with that massive dog right when you first get it. Robot dog, of course. It's just it is a brilliantly crafted shooter that, as we've said, is I would suggest just about more important for like game presentation and story immersion into gameplay than it is for how it feels to just pick up and have a go at shooting stuff with it. Now, especially when you compare it to Call of Duty Modern Warfare, which
the thing
go on.
The thing I'm constantly stunned about with Call of Duty Modern Warfare is when did Call of Duty Modern Warfare come out?
I don't know, I guess I'd say 2007.
Know who I am. 2007, that's exactly what you said, wasn't it?
Yep.
Nailed that. November the 5th, 2007.
I am Google now.
You are. So that is what, 15, 18 years ago that game came out. I find it stunning how little the industry has moved on in terms of mechanics and interaction. That game plays as well as any modern game does, and I think that's stunning. Like, imagine like any other game that came out. So what was 15 years before 2007?
1992?
Yeah, imagine a game that came out in 1992 and then playing that in 2007. It would be nothing like, there would be nothing modern about it. Do you know what I mean? Other than maybe Super Mario World or whatever. I just think it's amazing how this game holds up so well, and it was so far ahead of its time and so good that it is still the watermark for quality shooters.
Yeah,
You
know what else came out in 2007?
I have a long road to a short point, but yeah.
Yeah. It's funny that this came out in 2007, the same year that the Orange Box did, which is where I played Half-Life 2. And they couldn't really feel more different in their approach. Like Call of Duty Modern Warfare is a lot of scripted set pieces, kind of like Half-Life 2, but there's a lot more freedom in Half-Life 2, I think, to kind of build your own set pieces.
Oh, absolutely.
With the
This
crazy
was
shit
peak video games trying to be cinematic, wasn't it?
Yeah, but it just does it so well.
It really does.
Like, it's really hard to play because I've just finished Modern Warfare, the campaign today, like about half an hour before we went to record. I played the remastered version, which is just magic. Like, that's definitely worth playing if people get their hands on it on a modern console. You can go into it trying to be cynical, thinking about like, oh yeah, all gillied up, right? It's just you just stand behind the bloke and he tells you to go somewhere, and then scripted shit happens. It takes a real heart of stone to like not suspend your disbelief and actually just still feel tense in that level. As you know, I actually forgot how good that level is. I know that there's many other levels that are all gillied up in that game that are great, like the tanker at the beginning and the fucking nighttime thing when you get in the night vision on. You got those dudes like cowering in the corners. You can see them like in the dark, like aiming around, but all gillied up. Like the way that it kind of like leads you through these tense moments that and gives you just enough agency over them to feel like you have a real part to play in it rather than just following an objective marker or something. You know, I forget as well, like even after the bit where you have to kind of crawl under the tanks and sort of move out the way of all those soldiers walking at you, you then like you go into like the central part of Pripyat, and it's all like this dilapidated ghost town, and you're trying to you have to kind of carry your mentor as well after he's been like nearly cut apart by a fucking helicopter blades after it crashes, and you kind of like putting him down to give you sniper support fire while you're going out and gunning a bit up close quarters. Like an incredible level. And when you know the campaign is magnificent. It's got great characters in it. It's got some cool locations. It's got like main characters you're controlling dying in like nuclear blasts, and there's a whole one of the early levels where it's giving you the credits of the game. You're just the president of like Saudi Arabia getting dragged off to your execution and shot in the head. Like it's fucking, this is some dark shit, and we've not even talked about how this completely revolutionized online multiplayer.
It did
forever.
I want to touch on how sort of authentic Chernobyl looks in this game as well. I remember watching
so cool.
I've forgotten his name, but he used to work for Giant Bomb as a video guy, and he left and started his own YouTube channel, Cloth Map. And he used to in Cloth Map, he used to travel the world.
Oh, I know the one you mean.
And sort of go to video game locations, and he went to Chernobyl. And just how sort of like spot on the level design in all gillied up for like when you're walking around and you're walking like between the flats are identically the same. Even that there's like the old rusted sort of Ferris wheel thing is actually there, and it is such an authentic for its time recreation of that area that I think is just amazing. Call of Duty and like the Medal of Honor games have been so good for that. I mean, like the D-Day landings and things like that in the Medal of Honor games is one that also still sort of rings true in my head. But yeah, like I absolutely agree with you. Like the game is unbelievable, and the multiplayer is the thing that just sort of took off and is still going to this day, right? And it was just
they've never needed to really break that formula, have they?
It took the solid gameplay loop of Call of Duty, and it just everything felt perfect, and just added it into multiplayer, and then just gave you feedback like every few minutes by leveling up or like giving you XP all the time. And that was just a thing that like hadn't been seen up to this point. I mean, like the one I always compare it to is I remember playing Halo before it Call of Duty-fied itself, and you would have to win 5 matches in a row before you could level up, and there would only be 5 levels, and you could level up and level down. Call of Duty was all about the XP and leveling up, and that was it. You just going up and up and up and up and up, and then you just reset it and go again, and people just loved it. And it didn't
feel cynical at that point, did it?
Not at the time, no.
It just felt like, just like I said, revolutionary. Like weapon challenges, like use this gun, get these loads of headshots, and then you'll unlock this, and aim down sights kills, and you'll get like a better scope and all that kind of stuff. Just like it's just endlessly replayable. The prestiging up and down, and some of the greatest maps as well. This is the one with the one with all like the big storage crates. I can't remember what that one's called, but that level is just absolutely mental.
Just absolute carnage, yeah.
And I think you can do one of the Chernobyl levels in that as well. It's basically like a big block of flats where you can kind of snipe each other from it as well.
Try to offer a bit of balance. We were talking about how it didn't feel cynical at this point. There is a negative side to what this game has brought to it. It has brought this sort of
agreed
constant need for feedback, the sort of constant like tiny little dopamine hit that is sort of almost like you like the social media sort of side and sort of video gamified it. As important as this game is to the video game industry, I think there are negatives that this game has brought with it. I think if we're going to be talking about this game in terms of the knockout stages, like as like versus other games, I think we probably have to acknowledge that side, that it's not all positive, and it made games. This wasn't the game that did it, but it sort of opened the door or set the groundwork for the sort of microtransaction hellscape that we have today.
Yeah, it's almost sort of like the last throes of Call of Duty's innocence.
Yes.
It felt a very different proposition when it was a World War II game. And it's amazing as well, actually, before I sort of elaborate on that point, to sort of think that on this same console, I'm pretty sure it was on PCs first, but you had Call of Duty 3 and 2, which was a launch title. And Call of Duty Modern Warfare in 2007, which is like just about 2 years into the life of the Xbox 360, this already felt like a generational leap from those two Call of Duty games. 2 and 3 to Modern Warfare is a wild jump in right. like visual quality and stuff like that, and you know the amount of content in there. But this still feels, it still feels like on the right side of the cynical Call of Duty that it is now. And as you say, it really did change. It changed online multiplayer gaming for better and for worse.
Yeah.
So, you know, this was one of the most addictive multiplayer games most people had ever played. But it knew that, and it manufactured how addictive it was. It's not like I must keep playing Quake so I can get better at Quake. It's, hey, if I keep playing Call of Duty, I'll get better because it's giving me all this stuff to get better. So it's yeah. And it just became a behemoth. It was the biggest franchise. Well, it is probably one of the biggest franchises in the world. There's no question. But of this generation as well, just massive. Like everyone was talking about it. This was like the game everybody played. I tell you what,
I there is a bit of me that does actually miss, again, like talking about the sort of the last throes of innocence. I do miss the fact that, Call of Duty map packs coming out, that being an event. Whereas now they would just sort of be released for free, or it would be a battle royale. It would be an ever-evolving live service game, and they'd make their money from skins, whereas this was like, this is how they made their money, by selling you new maps, and it was such a cultural event for gamers. New map pack, let's get on and see what the new
get your Microsoft points.
Yeah. It was so good.
Yeah, but you're absolutely right, and because you'd learn those 3 maps, and it was kind of shitty in that as well, where it would be like, oh yeah, but if your mates are playing with you and they don't have the map packs, then they can't fucking play. We're going to boot them out of the lobby. So get out. Yeah, they can't queue with you, buddy.
No, you're in the new map queue.
But yeah, the sweet spot of the all of the franchise, like some incredible single player levels and moments and set pieces and characters, and like I said, it wasn't at that point where it felt like it had jumped the shark or become soulless and uninteresting and just like a rehash over and over and over again. Like, this is when shit was cool.
Yeah.
Although, like Price was fucking badass in this game, and I think you're playing as Soap, aren't you? And you get to play as the Marines for a little bit, but then they're fucking dead halfway through.
Yeah.
Which was a good thing for me, only because Americans don't know how to talk about the flaws of a building correctly, although they did still develop the game. So that carries on when you're the British people anyway. But if I hear one more time so-and-so's on the second floor and they're actually on the first floor because the ground floor is the one that's on fucking ground level. So I'm aiming higher than you're telling me. Then you doing my head in today.
I get confused by that to this day. When someone goes second floor, I'm like, which second floor? Are we American second floor or are we British second floor?
Yeah.
Which one are we doing?
Tango on the second floor. That's the first floor, I think you'll find there, sir. When he said fourth floor, I was like, Jesus Christ, I ain't got time to rewire my brain and count incorrectly that high. Fucking fourth floor. What wins, David? Is it Call of Duty?
I think it's Call of Duty.
Okay.
I think it's Call of Duty. Yeah. Heavy caveat about the negatives that we've just spoken about, because I don't know, it's like one of those things, like it's a bit like the nuke, isn't it? Like you look around, like the nuke probably has prevented a lot of people going to war, so it's probably like saved a lot of lives. However,
I suppose so.
When the nuke goes off, it's devastating. And like this was like we've got the nukes, we've not set them off sort of stage of Call of Duty, whereas like in a couple games time the nukes were going off, like in the game and in real life.
Yeah,
and everything we had.
The fallout from Hiroshima still being felt by all those parents who had to buy their kids second Microsoft accounts because their first one got banned for being racist.
Yeah, and we're probably still at the age where it was like
a generation scarred.
There's someone on the map that thinks it's funny to take their Microsoft headset and hold it against their CD player. So you had gangster rap playing in this as you were running, and you knew when it was like, oh, I'm coming near that guy again because I can hear the rap coming.
I can hear the rap coming.
Here comes the rap.
Yeah. So Call of Duty Modern Warfare is in the semi-final, and it will face one of Doom 2016 or Halo Combat Evolved.
It will. Both great, great and absolutely seminal games in their era.
Yeah, Doom 2016, which we've touched on already by saying, it feels so distinct from the original Doom, but also feels like a really appropriate, reverential kind of throwback or appreciation of what Doom actually is and should be, which is just intense combat, great weapons, cool exploration, secrets everywhere. I remember being very vocal, especially on our podcast that we were doing at the time, about how that initial trailer for Doom 2016 kind of pissed me off. I don't really remember why, but I felt like it looked. Did we not think it just looked total shit? And we expected nothing from it, and then it came out and it just blew us away.
Yeah, I wonder if there's also a certain amount of I've still got it on my wall of Rage signed by Tim Willits. Of like, oh yeah, we've seen this id Tech before. It demos well, but the actual game maybe isn't always going to be quite as good as you think it is. Maybe there's a certain amount of that. I don't remember.
I just remember seeing the reviews and everyone's being like, this is incredible. Me thinking, what? I expected nothing from this game because it's not. I mean, it wasn't the id, was it? It wasn't Carmack. It wasn't Romero. It wasn't all their mates from the good old Lake House Pizza Diet Coke lads. It was a whole new generation of id developer, and yet they loved Doom so much that they just made this incredible kind of homage to it and modernized it in a way that I didn't think was possible. And it's almost like its own genre of FPS in that it's almost like this. I don't even know how to say it. It's almost like you get these arenas, isn't it? It's like you just go from arena to arena when you have this kind of mini sandbox to run around and jump about and swing around.
You cannot stop.
Yeah,
you just got to keep.
It's so kinetic, isn't it? Yeah, so fluid.
I guess like sort of absolute contrast and juxtaposition to Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2, and we're talking about sort of the last throes of innocence and what became of the sort of gaming industry and the first-person shooter ecosystem after Call of Duty really got its claws in. This game felt refreshingly old school in that it was sort of a return to how we remember games. It was just innocent. It was just about rock music. It was about shooting things in the face, and it was about just like Iron Maiden album covers visually everywhere, and it was just like, this is, let's just fucking cut some riffs, shoot some things in the face, and get shit done. Whereas like it felt like up to this point, shooters were all about, again, like microtransactions, selling us skins, getting us online, and getting these little dopamine hits. This game was just like, nah, fuck this, rock and roll. And it just went, it felt, yeah, like I say,
heavy metal.
Heavy
goes
metal
beyond rock and roll, doesn't it?
Old school, in a way that made the game feel new and fresh and clean, in a way that a lot of first-person shooters games didn't feel during that time.
You've just reminded me. Yeah, you've reminded me about the soundtrack and how good that Mick Gordon one was. And
I still remember right at the beginning of that game where it's got that amazing Mick Gordon track, and then he like checks the shotgun.
In time with the music, he clicks the shotgun. Yeah.
Like, as soon as they do that, it's like they get it. They know what Doom is. They know how to make a modern one. This is just going to be fun. And then that lift door opens, and then just like it's just all hell lets loose.
Because haven't you already been through the bit where he's in some sort of coffin, and he's
come out of your coffin,
smashed through the chains, battered the shit out of some dude, punched the thing that's trying to deliver you story in the game, like smashed the TV screen. Yeah, shut the fuck up. Gets the shotgun, and off we go.
No time for
and you just throw the rock signs up, and you just love life at that point. Just
it's great. Yeah, great. The guy's
pure adrenaline,
and he just like punches him in the face, and then it becomes apparent as you're going through that initial area that the demons recognize you, and they're like, "Oh no, not this guy!"
Yeah,
and it's just like, "We're back, baby. Let's go." And I just think, it was the perfect. If they couldn't have the original Doom guys back, it was just like it felt like they understood what Doom was, and they delivered on every level of what.
Yeah, and they just tried to turn it up, didn't they? They're like, fuck it, let's just turn everything that Doom has up to 11, so everyone's going to have no choice but to love it.
Yeah.
And like, the glory kills to get back armor, the chainsaw kills to get back
every opportunity,
ammo,
aggression, which is just what I love. Yeah. I love it, and you just didn't get that in those sort of games at that time.
Yeah. And it's up against Halo,
which is maybe the most important console shooter ever made, which is
I think
incredibly difficult. Like again, like to build on what we spoke on about GoldenEye, about how like GoldenEye showed us that a first-person shooter could be done and it could be fun on a console. This is the watermark. This is how you do a console shooter, and this is how you've got your dual joysticks. This is how you make the interaction in moving around the world interesting. The world of Halo's cool, right? It's fun, it's interesting, it's exciting, and the size of the levels was probably unlike much that we had seen. Halo, Half-Life 2 probably aside. And this is the blueprint of how you make a console shooter that people have been pulling on consciously or unconsciously ever since.
Yeah, we don't have an Xbox Series X in our possession without Halo, I don't think.
No.
I mean, we could, because Microsoft could just decide to keep doing it, but without this, the Xbox is not what it is today. And this game still feels absolutely fantastic to play. I mean, yes, you can play it in the Master Chief Collection. You can flick the old visuals on, and it will look old as shit. But it was just such a perfectly crafted console shooter. At the first go for this developer on this brand new hardware. One of the best launch games ever.
Yeah, probably. That would be a fun launch games. That would be a fun.
Yeah. We've got a whole podcast about it. That's episode 90 of the podcast. If you want to check that out, we are both massive Halo fans. I'm trying not to think about the library and the flood too much when I'm trying to pair it against 2016.
The library and the flood are the two massive elephants in the room, and that they are.
Are you all right? Can you move?
Not great. I guess when you're thinking about Halo, to me, like when I'm thinking about Halo and I'm thinking about the positives, it's the opening couple of levels, the sense of
and the last level,
yes,
on the Warthog.
And actually, yeah, when it brings it back and you finish off sort of the second last level on the Pillar of Autumn after it's crashed, and you go back, it's a nice sort of close the loop job. But like when you're like brought out of your stasis, the ship is under attack, and in my mind, in my memory, a lot of video games up to this point, it's just a power fantasy, and largely Halo is a power fantasy. However, at the start of that level, humans on the back foot. They're in trouble. The ship is lost, and you have to complete the level. You essentially admit defeat and just have to escape on an escape pod, and then you find yourself on an alien planet, totally lost, overwhelmed by the Covenant, and you just sort of go on to try and figure out where you are, why you're there, and what the Halo is. I think it's an interesting story, and that like I say, like it starts really well. It's really powerful. I was going to say I don't know where I'm going with that, but I feel like I've made my point.
What's interesting here is that I put this in my S tier. I put Halo in my S tier. We both put Doom 2016 in our A tier, and you put Halo in your A tier as well. So you actually haven't technically differentiated between the two of them yet, whereas I have. I clearly put Halo above it, and I do think for me I would have Halo win it, because if I'm putting a Doom game into the semi-finals, I'd probably put the original, because it's just more important. And I don't really, again, that's based on us still not really knowing what we're judging these things on.
Yeah, well, that's the difficulty thing, isn't it? I think like if you're going to ask me the question right now, what game? Like here's your controller. Which one do you want to play?
Yeah,
I'm probably playing Doom 2016.
Unless I'm on the other end, right? Because
unless you're on the other end,
we had what fun we had in co-op, right? I don't think I want to play Halo on my own necessarily, but if you're going to sit down with me and we'll play Halo together, I'd probably pick that over Doom 2016. Yeah,
no, fully on board with that. And then I think you augment that with how. And again, like this is why it's a weird and interesting podcast, because you've got to take these things on a case-by-case basis and sort of compare them against themselves. Like Halo is such an important game to the video game industry, like in a way that Doom 2016 is not. Doom 2016 is just a fucking brilliant game.
Yeah.
Halo is a great game. I defy you. There aren't many. I mean, I hate the game, but maybe Destiny aside, there are no better shotguns in video gaming.
Or pistols. Or potentially snipers.
Yeah. Maybe
the noise that sniper makes. Yeah. But that's because they know how to do a headshot.
They do. I think I'm with you. I'm happy with Halo, because like I say, like Halo's a great game and it's important. Doom is just a great game.
Yeah, exactly. That was my thinking. So for that semi-final, when we get to it, will be Call of Duty Modern Warfare versus Halo Combat Evolved. But before we get to that, we need to do Doom, the original Doom, versus Apex Legends. Well,
how do we start this?
I don't know. This is probably the most wildly different feeling of all the semi-finals, quarterfinals rather, where you've got an ultra-modern live service battle royale versus the first-person shooter, other than Wolfenstein, which we've already said on an old podcast is shit.
So the interesting thing,
like the granddaddy of FPS games, really.
I'm gonna
not the great granddaddy.
I'm gonna duck and jive, and I'm going to start with Apex Legends, given how our previous chats have gone. Apex Legends for me is simultaneously one of my favorite games of all time, and also completely indicative of the things I hate about games.
I do love and hate this game in equal measure.
Yeah, it's a game that exists in like some of the best times that you and I have had playing Apex Legends, or some of the best times I've had in gaming. Full stop.
I wish we could get those back.
I wish we could get them back. There's just like nothing like it. However, it's also a free-to-play game that is filled with like microtransactions, dailies that are just designed to do nothing else than to try and attract the player back. It is like I remember watching I'm trying to remember the term, and I'm not doing a successful job of it. But I remember watching one of the early no clip videos, and he was talking about microtransactions games, and he touched on like a lab experiment that they used to do with rats, and a rat could go up and hit this button, and it would get food, and then there would be this other button in the same cage, and it could get a dopamine hit, and the rat would kill itself by just continually going up and hitting the dopamine hit over and over again, rather than getting food to sustain itself. And that's Apex Legends a little bit to me, in that like in its purest form, in its most wonderful, like you say, purest form, like there are moments in that game, and the way that the game is created creates scenarios in sort of incidental storytelling, in emergent storytelling, that's the word I'm looking for, that like is unlike anything I've ever played. However, there's also the sinister aspect to it that now I'm sort of out of it. I really hate that in games, and I hate it because it's so fucking prevalent in games these days. And it's like,
although it seems to be maybe waning somewhat
a little bit. I just feel like Apex Legends is this amazing game with this layer of turd on the top. That
I completely agree.
That makes me feel really dirty about it.
Yeah, no, I agree. Well, I think as well, you know, this game has COVID to thank, I think, for how much you and I played it. It was every single lunchtime of every single day during the working week, and a lot of time at weekends because we weren't going anywhere else.
No.
This at times can feel like, and I guess we're gonna probably talk more about the ability of, fuck me, is it Respawn?
Yeah.
Respawn as a developer in our next quarterfinal. But this really does kind of feel like,
especially because the guy, the Vince Zampella has now moved off of Respawn and into EA proper, and is now heading up the Battlefield division. So I'm looking forward with intrigue and interest to see what the new Battlefield game looks like.
Yeah,
because that man has gone from Modern Warfare to Apex.
Yeah, I saw his name in the credits of Modern Warfare just the other day. Yeah,
now he has basically he has headed some of the three, like two at this point, two of the most seminal video games of the modern era in terms of the first-person shooter genre.
Absolutely.
Titanfall.
He must have had.
Well, he did Titanfall.
He must have been in that as well.
Titanfall, he ushered in the Modern Warfare era of Call of Duty, and now he's been moved on to Battlefield. I wonder what they're going to do with it, because that man is a genius for a first-person.
It seems that way.
Sorry,
but yeah, it seems like even though they kind of sort of shadow dropped to Elmas out of nowhere,
it did. It was a complete shadow drop, wasn't it? It was just like, oh, it's out.
Yeah, but it's like that studio kind of everything that they'd learned and honed with the Titanfall series up to this point. It's just transposed into this sort of hero shooter battle royale. Yeah. And there's just so many cool ideas. I mean, some of the characters, you can kind of look at them and think they're just a little bit like cliched or whatever, or uninspired, but there are so many different ways to play around the very core conceit of this game, where, you know, it is a battle royale shooter. That's what it is. Everybody has guns. It's not like Overwatch as much, because you are using the same pool of guns, and there are some incredibly fun guns in this. The movement in this game also is just absolutely phenomenal. Like, there probably aren't that many first-person games of any kind that have movement that's as fun to engage with as this.
No.
It's almost like playing fucking, what's that game? Mirror's Edge, but if it was good and had shooting in it. And, you know, even the hero powers are great. When a new hero came out, you and I were always just buzzing to give him a go, and just the compulsion to come back and play this game was real. And yes, partly it was down to the dopamine hits of the dailies and the skins and whatever. But it was also just because it just felt so satisfying. A win in this game is one of the best feelings I've ever had.
Yeah.
A loss in this game is just one of the worst, one of the lowest.
It's because of a battle royale game, because you're like, we are one of a massive pool of people and we're the last people standing. That is like the battle royale is winning a battle royale is the pinnacle, I think, of online multiplayer gaming. It's not like just shooting more people, because like you'll often die loads, like in a Call of Duty game, for example. Like you're the last, you didn't die, you're the last man standing. There's just nothing like winning a battle royale game, I don't think.
That's a very good point. And I guess that's why we kept coming back.
60 teams were in Apex, was that right? 60 people, 30 teams.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, you're like,
or was it?
Let's say you're 2 of 60, and you're the last. You're the best 2 players in that match. There's just nothing compares to that in terms of how you feel about yourself after a win.
Yeah. Out of every single game in this whole thing, like we know the most about this. We've played this the most. We've studied it the most. I've watched YouTube videos and tips and meta, analysis, and like studied the new character builds and all that kind of stuff. And then yet stepping away from it and not having that stress over my head and not having to play a game that's so consistently sweaty. Because I am a tryhard and I am not the best at it, so I will lose more than I win, and I want my KDR to be over 1, and it hardly ever was. Just, I don't miss those feelings. Like, they are rough feelings, but they don't necessarily indicate the fact that it's a bad game, but it's a very singular experience of struggling and sweating against other people. And I guess other people are the worst thing about life, right? And the other people are in this game purely, that's it. There's no you just sitting there on your own with some headphones and enjoying playing through I don't know, I'm all gillied up again. It's you getting shot at by teenagers constantly and being worse than them.
Genuinely, that's a as much as I loved my time with Apex, it is something when I sort of broke the chain of like finishing battle passes, that I did find some sort of joy in again. So, like games can be relaxing. I don't have to play this game and stress myself out all the time. Like, I can't just sort of lie on the couch and play an RPG and enjoy it and just experience games again. I remember, because it also coincided with us restarting this podcast. I remember thinking, I've got my Apex dailies to do. I've got to play this game for a podcast. When am I going to get to actually play a game that I want to play? And I'm like, well, you could just not play Apex and then actually just play games you want to play. Like, think of how many hours you're putting into that. And it sounds silly to say, but it was a genuine, like, I don't know, rediscovery. It's like, oh yeah, there are other games happening.
It was our rehab. We came out of addiction together. You're absolutely right. Like, this game, obviously, we poured so much time into. However, it is up against one of the greatest video games ever made.
Yeah.
Like, one of the most seminal, important, iconic, timeless video games ever. I mean, I said it on a couple of podcasts ago. I think I said, Doom has a real claim to be the greatest video game ever made. And I'm pretty much happy to stand by that, because yes, I am playing the remastered or whatever you want to call it version that's on Series X, but I've been playing Doom since Doom dropped.
Is it? Tetris, I think, would maybe be my shout for that.
Yeah, it's of a similar importance. Definitely of a similar importance. I just love this. I fucking love the story around, like, having like heard Will Wheaton or whatever it is read Masters of Doom to me.
I love
like
that.
I love that. I love those guys.
And have you listened to or read his own autobiography? That's also pretty good, and it's interesting to listen to.
Whose autobiography?
John
Romero.
John Romero's, yeah.
I have not.
That's one that you should get on Audible as well and have a listen to, and re-listen.
Does he read it?
Masters of Doom as well. Yeah, he does. He reads it himself. And he goes into sort of the breakdown in the relationship between him and Carmack, as well as sort of him leaving Id, and like it does the whole thing, similar to Masters of Doom, but also obviously it's from his own words. So it's an interesting sort of thing to marry up. I would highly recommend that one. That's really good.
I don't think I even realised that he had one.
Yeah, it came out about a year ago. But yeah, it's very much worth it. Highly recommend that. And I do agree with you. This is maybe certainly the best shooter of all time. Everything it wants to do, it does. It pulls it off. It does everything perfectly from what it's aiming to do. It's still fun to play. I'm trying to think of negatives because I think
it's confusing.
It is just look for the blue key, look for the yellow key, look for the red key.
Yeah,
but it's still fun to do that.
Yeah, definitely. And once you've sort of get back in, I just wanted to put this up onto the screen. There's me and John Romero.
Yeah, I think of all the things you've done in your life, Alex, it's probably the one
helping John Romero unpack his car for the Blackpool Play Expo. Yeah. Still charged me 25 quid for a signed poster though, the prick.
Very jealous of that.
Yeah.
In fact,
if I ever see him again,
no, fuck that. I'm not jealous. I'm just happy for you. That's a better way to,
cheers. It's fine. I understand.
A better way to frame that.
I love the sprites. I love the noise. Like the noises those sprites make. I love the music. I love the guns. Like the guns are so fucking awesome. The plasma rifle is so good. The BFG, man.
The enemies are
like where did this? I mean, yeah, obviously it came from D&D, but
that's
holy shit! Like it's just so metal.
Such the nerdiest of nerd.
Mm-hmm. And their roots as well. They just sort of went from like Commander Keen on the Apple II, and then like, let's do a Nazi killing game. All right, okay, now let's do it in hell.
Yeah, it's absolutely insane. Can I just say, I think Doom wins this because as much as I love Apex,
me too.
I think like again on like the David scale, Apex Legends is such an important game for me personally. But yeah, the negatives that Apex brings with it just do not exist with Doom.
I mean, I'll happily play Doom until the day I die. Like I will never not see Doom and be like, oh yeah, I'll give that guy, because it's just fucking awesome.
Yeah,
like you say, it is easy to get lost in Doom, and it is pretty difficult. Again, it's an unforgiving old school shooter. But yeah, like I say, the sprites, the way they just kind of like melt in this like puddle of viscera after you just shoot them in like point blank in the face with the shotgun. What a great shotgun this game has as well.
I need to.
And the little dude's face when he's like getting the shit kicked out of him in the corner, and he gets more and more bloodied as it goes along. We could go on for hours, couldn't we, about Doom? But everybody already knows how great it is.
I'm in the mood to play through a game and play through a series on Twitch. And the Doom series is one because I'm trying to convince myself and give myself an excuse to go back to Doom 3 and try. And,
I knew you were going to say that.
and how much I love Doom 64 again. Like I
was just about to say, can we just give some quick props to Doom 64 for being rad as fuck as well, please?
Yeah, that's one of the ones I'm trying to think of, like a series. I just want to try and run through a series, just like touching them on Twitch. I think it'd be fun.
Yeah, I want to give Doom 2 a proper go again because I jumped straight into it after I replayed Doom on Switch, I believe it was, a couple of years ago, and just got a bit exhausted by it. Just endless rooms of being lost, and just looking for fucking yellow keys or whatever. Because I want to see if Doom 2 is genuinely better than Doom. Like, is it genuinely an improvement? Like, did they make it bigger but did they Gears of War 2 it sort of thing? Or Titanfall to it.
It needs to come. Yeah, you need to come out of that with the right headspace.
Yeah, just like totally fresh
on that level. Yeah, and not just like I need to play this to see, because that's not the right way to come at that game.
And it's, I guess, we can jump back a little bit to sort of way earlier in the podcast now, and a lot of the things that you could say about Doom, you could say about Duke Nukem 3D. It's great for a lot of the same reasons, but it is, of course, Duke Nukem is very much a different studio's take on the Doom formula,
it's riffing on
sort of the Doom engine.
Yeah. It's
which is why Duke Nukem is so endlessly fun.
That's the thing. Is again, like, absolutely agree. And again, like, to try and sort of add context to how I'm trying to think about this, like, Duke Nukem 3D is riffing on the Doom formula and doesn't always does it? Yeah, no, it doesn't always nail it. It doesn't in a way that like everything that Doom does. Yeah, I don't know. I'm confusing myself now. I'm trying to think about like it's not always better than Doom.
It can't be because it's not been created by some genuine geniuses that worked on Doom.
Maybe by genuine geniuses, and I think this is like one of the eternal problems of video games, and like it's like, oh, Doom is great. Let's try and make our own Doom. So it's not trying to do its own thing. It's inherently just following the wake that Doom is leaving behind it, right?
Yeah,
but it's still great. I did love.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, Doom wins.
Boomer shooters rule. I love boomer shooters.
Which brings us on to Titanfall 2 and COD 2.
Yeah, I think this one's probably quite an easy agreement considering Call of Duty 2 was in my C tier and your B tier. It's scraped into joint 7th place, and we both have Titanfall 2 in our S tier. So I think there's no question Titanfall 2 wins this. But I guess we should try and explain why.
Yeah,
I think we've mentioned Call of Duty 2 already as well in the Modern Warfare chat, where it's for me it is the best World War II shooter of all time.
I think it's the best World War II shooter. I was playing it today, and it is like obviously missing some of the trappings of a modern shooter, like the knee slide or sprint and things like that. But like in terms of like its moment to moment gameplay, it is every bit as good as some of the best shooters today. It is awesome. It does a good job of creating like I'm trying to think. I was going to say atmosphere, but atmosphere's not right. It does a good job of like in the early Soviet campaign, for example, it does a good job of making you feel like you're a Soviet soldier. So if you're like a small cog in a massive machine,
it's the one where you're throwing potatoes in your grenade training.
Yeah, you're picking up guns. You're changing guns because obviously the Soviet army didn't have enough. I mean, like in real life, they didn't have enough equipment to give all their soldiers shoes. You've got shoes in this, but like, you're having to change your guns all the time because there's not enough ammo, there's not enough weapons. You're also feeling like you're continually you play like a Soviet soldier and how the Soviets sort of operated during that area, and they would just chuck men into the meat grinder, and you are part of that. You basically just like, here's an open area of ground, the Nazis are trying to hold it, and you've just got to run at them until you sort of break them. It's an authentic, in that way, it's an authentic shooter, and it plays so well even today.
Yeah, it really does.
I love that
got
game.
Great.
I really love that game, and I'm going to keep playing it because it's so fun.
Yeah, I don't know if I actually finished it recently when I started it again. I don't think I did. Or maybe I did. But it's got this has got some excellent set pieces in it. Like it really took the formula established in the original Call of Duty and just pushed it, and being a console launch title as well for 360. Some of the tank missions when you're the British guys, there's one sort of, it's not a fully sniping mission, but it is one of the Russian missions where you're kind of like holed up in like a town hall or something, and all the Germans just kind of come out of the snow at you, and you've got to hold your position with a sniper rifle. Just really intense shit. I can't think too much about the American campaign now. I'm trying to think about it, but
it does. So, do you know? Is there any sort of crossover between the teams that were making Medal of Honor? Because in my mind, in terms of like release schedule, like Medal of Honor sort of rose and then fell just as Call of Duty was rising. And in playing Call of Duty 2 today, it made me realize that it follows the same mission structure. So, i.e., it chucks you into a level, and then you finish the level, then it'll show you some video of actual World War II with a narrator, and then it'll chuck you into the next level, which is exactly how the Modern Warfare games sort of cadence was. I wondered if there was any crossover. You don't know off the top of your head, do you?
No, I don't. But they're definitely, that goes back to my sort of talking about the innocence of the old Call of Duty games, where it's trying to still be respectful to the source material and the people who've died in the actual wars they're depicting. As you say, with these kind of real life not stock footage, but pieces of footage that they're showing from the war itself. It's quite funny actually when I kept dying in Modern Warfare, it has these quotes from people that mostly are very anti-war, and I'm thinking, but you're still glorifying it in this game. But yeah, whatever.
Yeah, there's some there's like a quote in there from Churchill about the thrill of being shot at, and I'm just like, oh,
without being hit or whatever it is. Yeah,
I'm just like, oh my god, this is just propaganda.
Yeah, I really don't want to see quotes from that man when I see pictures of him all around my fucking workplace all day long and busts of him and shit.
Titanfall 2.
Titanfall 2 wins because. Hang on, did I find what the podcast was for that?
Much about Titanfall 2, but one of the things that
we haven't. That's Titanfall, episode 56. That was, by the way.
Titanfall 2 is the sort of injection of verticality into like a genre that we've largely been speaking about. Looking at this, that is fairly set on a flat linear plane. Titanfall 2 is a game that will make you use the up and downs that the level has to offer. The one that jumps to mind is when you enter the sort of level. It's like an almost like house building factory. And you've got to use it in the way that level sort of moves around, and in the way that it changes from moving in your like wall, like bits that you're climbing on the steps will suddenly turn into walls, and it's just so seamless. And then at the top, you get to the top of that level, and it's just like, let's just have a great fun boss fight. Here's some mechs that we're going to chuck at you. It is just...
It's easy to forget about that part of the game, isn't it? Even though it's literally in the title. But we've spoken about it obviously on that podcast that we did, the game jam ideology around how the levels were created by different parts of the team, almost sort of segregated from each other, and then stapled together to make this coherent story that still really works and somehow manages to make the relationship between a robot and a dude compelling.
Yeah, absolutely. They give a robot that doesn't speak a personality that you end up becoming attached to. They drip him into...
Or does he speak? Does he speak? Well, he speaks in a robot voice anyway. He has no emotion to him anyway. Because remember, doesn't he tell you to like get on his hand before he throws you onto that?
Yeah, onto that
thing at the end. But of course, this was building off of an original game that had the story woven into its multiplayer, making it completely incomprehensible because you're in a multiplayer game. In a multiplayer game that is impossible to concentrate on someone trying to tell you something in an audio fucking log. They actually really fleshed this bad boy out, and no one saw the campaign that they created with this coming from the first game, which was just purely effectively a multiplayer game where some people talk for a little bit and you just enjoy the mechanics, which were great. Like they nailed all of that shit, the movement, the verticality, the fun of being in the mechs, especially for a Western audience and a Western developed game, to make mechs like exciting and interesting for Westerners.
That is a great point. Achievement. Yeah, that is a fantastic point.
But then to actually weave that story and then create these individual feeling levels that all have, not all of them, but some of them have these really high concept gimmicks about them. Like you said, the one where you're jumping through this factory that's making houses as it's going along. Obviously the time one where you're flipping between time periods, which I know that we did sort of say, maybe it's not quite as good as Dishonored 2 actually when we played Dishonored 2, but that's still magic that was in this game. It's like as a function that it just takes away from you at the end and says, right, fuck off, go do something different now. And then you know all the wall riding and the sliding and the
I forgot about the time mechanic. That was such a good mechanic.
Yeah. Just flipping over to the different time periods so you can run behind the dudes and then flip back to where they are and shoot them all in the back while they're panicking. Just brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. And of course it's got loads of Apex Legends weapons in it, which, having gone back to it after being so obsessed with Apex Legends, just felt really nice and warm to play it and be like, I get to enjoy these weapons without hating myself.
I see this game before they try to add levels to it.
Yeah,
this is a great weapon. Yeah,
I mean this,
but Call of Duty 2 is still class, and I can't wait to keep playing that. Yeah,
Titanfall 2 definitely vies against Doom 2016 for me for the best first-person shooter of the last 10 or 15 years.
Yes, yeah, I'd agree with that. Yeah,
it's not going to have a match against Doom 2016 because that's out, and we're back
It's
we're into the semi-finals now. We've got Call of Duty Modern Warfare versus Halo Combat Evolved. So Halo was in your A tier, so I would assume your decision would be Modern Warfare. Are you standing by that?
It comes back to how this discussion that we're about to have is going to play out. I mean, like, Halo's a massively important game. I don't think Call of Duty at all on console exists without Halo.
Yeah, fair.
I think Call of Duty probably is a more fun game. Is it? That's a
I don't know.
I don't know. I said that.
Fun is a subjective term, isn't it?
Like, I thought, do I actually feel like that? I'm not sure I do.
They're fun in different ways for sure. Halo does feel more like pure fun, modern. Whereas Call of Duty feels more intense than Halo. But Halo is we laugh while we're playing Halo. I'm not laughing playing COD.
No. If we're playing,
gritting my teeth at the edge of my seat.
Yeah, if you and I are playing COD together, you're at the edge of the seat, trying not to die. Whereas Halo, we're sort of like lounging, just enjoying it. Taking it in, listening to the story, laughing at the brutes doing something stupid,
laughing at each other doing something stupid, getting stuck by our own grenades or running each other over or whatever. Look at these 4 absolute fucking titans, excuse the pun, of the genre. Like, we've done this correctly so far, and there's just 4 all-timers that I love, each of in different ways. Although I probably go on.
Can I just pause it? So again, like, to sort of pull back the old Left 4 Dead chat. If I'm on my own, I'm going to play Call of Duty Modern Warfare. If I'm with you, I am going to play Halo. The enemies in Halo are more interesting than the enemies in Call of Duty, obviously. There's a tactic to fighting the different enemies. There's a variation to the gameplay. There is cars, there are ships. Again, there's different types of enemies, probably greater variance in guns. I think Call of Duty Modern Warfare feels nicer in the hand.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, these are 4 games that I love, but I actually would say that I love Call of Duty Modern Warfare the least of all of them. Well, that's why it's the only one that was in my A tier out of what's left. It's very, very difficult, isn't it? All those people are just sitting there screaming through their headphones while they're walking their dog. It's like, come on, it's obviously X or Y.
Yeah, again, this is an observation and nothing more. Another thing that keeps sort of popping into my head is, like, Modern Warfare 2, because of Spec Ops, would have been in my list over Modern Warfare had it been my list. Had it been a David list rather than a collaborative list.
Yeah.
Halo would have been in my list regardless.
Yeah, I think when I first, I think you were just typing them out, because I remember when you first started filling in your ranking on the spreadsheet, I clocked it, and I swear you wrote Halo first.
I did,
but I think you were just typing them out. Or were you? I don't know.
No, I wasn't. And this is the thing that I struggle with. See, at the time when I was initially doing it, I think I kept saying it today when I was sort of typing out my list. I'm having a day where I'm hating Halo for some reason. Because Halo was top.
Do you think if we had the infrastructure / could afford it / whatever, had the friends to have engaged with Halo's multiplayer on Xbox originally, on the original Xbox Live, Was it on that? Was it on there? Maybe it wasn't.
Halo. See, Halo.
Was it just Halo 2 that was
it
on
had
Xbox
multiplayer.
Live?
It didn't have Xbox Live. No, Halo 2
Okay.
was the Xbox Live.
Yeah, because now I'm thinking about it, Halo Combat Evolved was what we used to call the quad night, where we'd go to my friend Simon's house, who lived in a 3-story house with his 2 parents and no one else, and so he got the entire third floor to himself. So we would just commandeer the 3rd floor of his parents' house, and 4 of us would all just sit there playing Halo. I think I've said stories on here before about how you had to announce loudly if you had a needler when you picked it up, and if anybody died to you whilst holding the needler, they were instantly like the lamest dude in the room. Just like young sort of adolescent 18, 19-year-olds just getting, just drinking beers, and some dickheads smoking cigars for some reason. I don't know why they wanted to do that, but it's 4 of us sitting in a room, like no parents, no responsibilities, just playing Halo 4-player.
That as well for Halo 2.
Oh yeah, but of course Halo 2 has that,
because we also had
campaign that pissed us off.
What was our friend known as Chimpo? He never had his own games console, and he couldn't handle dual analog sticks, so he was a danger more to his own team. So we would than people his own. So we would play 4v4 with when people's parents would go on holiday, we'd all pile around to the house and hook up.
What, LAN party style, huh?
Do LAN party style with TVs back to back and things like that. And Chimpo would be every time would just play rocket launchers only, and Chimpo would be as much of a danger to his own team, and it was just so funny seeing who Chimpo was killing because he just couldn't handle dual analog sticks.
So he's the human needler, effectively. Yeah,
basically. And if you got killed by Chimpo, you were the loser for the day.
Yeah.
If you were sitting here saying, and this is not just me divorcing responsibility, genuinely, if you were sitting here saying to me, Halo is your favorite game out of Call of Duty and Halo, I'd be like, yeah, I can see it. But then if you were going, Call of Duty is my favorite, I'd be like, yeah, I can see it. This is probably one of the worst combinations we could have had, because I genuinely love both of these games. For different reasons, which makes it so hard. Because Call of Duty Modern Warfare, I'm still astounded. I've said this a few times on the podcast. I'm still stunned by how modern that game feels, which is ironic because it's called Modern Warfare. And Halo is just again one of the most important games. One of the most important first-person shooter games that there's ever been on a console, ever. Full stop. Yeah. End of.
I mean, I guess it technically should be like Doom versus Halo, shouldn't it? Or if it was purely console, you'd have Halo versus Goldeneye. If you wanted to do all, if just on importance.
If it's just an importance, if that's how this is going.
Well, again, we don't know how to make it go.
No, we don't. We just got to sort of go by feel.
I mean, my feel is Halo, but I don't know what yours is. Yours seems to be more finely balanced.
It's more finely balanced, and I think sort of to go back to what I was saying before, if this was a Call of Duty and we had got Modern Warfare 2 in there, I think I'd be struggling more, to be honest. But I'm happy to. I would be happy to go with Halo, I think. Just because Call of Duty Modern Warfare for me, the multiplayer's good. I was going to say the multiplayer's fine. The multiplayer's amazing, but the campaign is what it is. Whereas Halo has a co-op component, which is always going to make me more susceptible to it. So in a toss-up scenario, I would probably plot for a co-op. Yeah, let's go with Halo. Let's do it. It's Halo, man. It's Halo.
Yeah. Yeah. It feels like.
And I'm not having to judge it against Spec Ops.
Oh my God, what?
I feel better. Oh God.
Like I said, that Final Four is goated.
I'm not sure how to help you with that.
Don't help me with that. I don't want you to.
Thanks, Alexa.
Jesus. Yeah,
Is she getting involved with? Ask Alexa if she likes Call of Duty or Halo better.
Alexa, what's better, Call of Duty Modern Warfare or Halo Combat Evolved?
Based on IMDb ratings, Halo Combat Evolved is rated 8.4 out of 10, which is 0.5 higher than that of Call of Duty Modern Warfare.
Right.
Call of Duty
Stop.
Modern Warfare is rated 7.9 out of 10.
What? No, it's not.
That's
no,
on IMDb.
No, it's not. No, it is not. You've got that wrong, Alexa. Well, yeah, Alexa gets
Christ.
a swinging vote. Halo it is.
Yeah. Right. So the second semi-final.
Doom or Titanfall 2.
I don't know if my wife would appreciate that. No, I'm not going to do that.
Okay, you do. I'll ask.
I don't think.
No, I'll ask Chat GPT.
Yeah. All right. Doom versus Titanfall 2.
Hi, can you tell me what game's better, Doom the original or Titanfall 2, please?
Both are fantastic games, but they offer different experiences. What? The original Doom is a classic first...
You all right there?
Hey, I'm doing
it's a classic.
Great. Thanks for asking. How about you?
Right. Oh, this is getting...
We'll try this again.
I'm keeping this in.
Can you please tell... No, stop speaking. Can you please tell me if the original Doom or Titanfall 2 is better?
Both are great games, but it depends on what you're looking for. The original Doom is a classic that started the first-person shooter genre, known for its fast-paced action and straightforward gameplay. Titanfall 2, on the other hand, offers a more modern experience with a strong single-player campaign and innovative mechanics like wall running and mech suits. If you prefer classic gameplay and nostalgia, go with Doom. If you want a more modern, varied experience, Titanfall 2 might be the better choice.
Yeah, but which one do you like better?
I think both have their own unique appeal.
No, stop. Just pick one.
All right, if I had to choose, I'd go with Titanfall 2 for its variety and engaging single-player campaign.
Thank you.
Oh, that was...
Enjoy your gaming.
Oh my God. What? That was ChatGPT?
Yeah, it's terrifying, isn't it?
Yeah, because the speech.
I had a full-blown conversation with that thing.
Yeah, the speech, and she fucking reacted to you. She'd be like, "Shut up, just pick one." All right, okay. Like the cadence of how that spoke to you, sounded so much like 50% to 60% of YouTube gaming channels. I now fully believe none of them are human beings anymore.
Yeah, I say
that was strange.
We're not needed anymore.
Yeah. So she picks Titanfall 2. Well, I don't. How do I? I don't know. Depends what you want to go for, you know? Doom's a classic experience, you know. I look at this and I think how innovative and one of a kind Titanfall 2 is. I don't think we're ever going to get a shooter like that. Well, we may do. But
can I just we
were unlikely to see one like that for a long time because we haven't since.
Is an argument to be made there? They are equally innovative in their own eras.
Yeah,
like before Doom, there was nothing like Doom, and before Titanfall 2, there's not much.
No, I would say they're not equally innovative. Actually,
you think Doom's more innovative?
Yeah,
probably agree with that.
It's hard to be innovative after Doom, really. If you want to walk around in first person and shoot things, you're copying Doom or Wolfenstein.
Yeah, you probably are.
In terms of, as you say, like
Titanfall, I still don't think
there isn't
like Titanfall 2 in a modern context. I think they
I agree.
Up if we're talking about things that raised the bar, like
I just wish the bar had actually been picked up by someone so they carried it.
Yeah,
because the bar's it's not been maintained since Titanfall 2, in my opinion.
No, I don't think so either. I think it's I would perhaps make an argument that there's
what's been out since Titanfall 2?
There's not been a better FPS since Titanfall 2.
I mean, Apex was since then, but we've already said that's not as good. And I don't like Doom Eternal as much as I like 2016. I think it became a little bit too mechanical in terms of like this gun kills this thing.
Yeah, I was chatting to a pal recently about the new Doom, and we're very much looking forward to the new Doom coming out. And I was like, do I need to go back? I kind of want to go back and remind myself. So I was like, Doom 2016, but then like Doom Eternal is a game that I just bounced off of. And I'm like, do I want to go back and play it? And I just don't think I do. Because like the thing that like always, when I played Doom 2016, I'm like, yeah, they get it. And then when Doom Eternal came out, I'm like, did they get it? Because they didn't seem to learn the right lessons from Doom 2016.
Yeah, I agree there. The last boss, I think, took me half an hour. That's not acceptable.
Yes. Anyway, I just didn't like the sort of like climbing mechanics and stuff that they added to it. They just added too much to it. There's a simplicity to Doom in Titanfall 2 that Doom Eternal didn't have. But we're not talking about Doom Eternal, are we? I'm extending this podcast beyond what it needs to be. We're talking about Doom and Titanfall 2. The good thing about Doom, again, like, gameplay probably unmatched. An absolute seminal title for its time. Can be confusing. If you really break down its gameplay, it is just walk around a flat level, look for different coloured key cards to move on. And then you see a power time that makes you feel inadequate about yourself. And then there's Titanfall 2.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which is, probably the best shooter of the last, 10 years?
Since 2016, at least, anyway.
Made me feel emotions about a robot that I've not felt since Johnny 5 is alive.
Great film. Great film.
It's just fun to play. It's got the mechanics that we love from Apex Legends without all the bullshit around it, and an added story. It's got the second best time manipulation mechanic that ever put in a video game.
Yes.
It's made by the guy that makes the best shooters of the modern era, Vince Zampella. But so is Doom from its era. Do you know what is making me feel I kind of want to stick Doom in the final? However,
it does feel like Halo versus Doom is like the purest choice, doesn't it?
I just feel like that's such a cliche. Like, but is it a cliche because it's deserved? Maybe,
probably.
Well, we just stick Doom in the final over Titanfall 2.
I think so.
And accept Titanfall 2's a GOAT.
I mean, for me, it's if Titanfall 2 gets the bronze medal, if that counts for anything. I know you probably don't think that.
The problem is Titanfall 2, like if I'm making a top 5 games, Titanfall 2 probably is on a list of my top 5 games of all time.
Ooh, Jesus. It's funny, isn't it? Because we never even played the multiplayer on that game.
Nope. I fucking loved that game. It was, I think, for what it was shooting for, a first-person shooter, what it was shooting for. I don't see how it could have done it what it did any better. Cannot figure it out. But then again, the same applies to Doom. So it's not that's not a negative of that. I don't, given the sort of technological constraints of what they were working with and what they were shooting for. That game's perfect as well, probably. Is Halo perfect? No. Because of the flood in the library.
But then again, some of Doom, it obviously can feel that frustrating too. Getting lost, dying, having no ammo left, or whatever.
The time I've spent in Doom running about, going, where do I go now? Don't know. Just walking around, like headbutting walls to try to see if the wall opens. It's not perfect either, but
just pressing that button over and over again.
It is what it is from what it's time. I mean, like it is less frustrating than anything else. Doom's going to be the winner, isn't it, mate?
I think it is.
I think
I'd rather we were represented by that.
Did you have an earmarked winner? I feel like if we were going to
Well, my top two were
Yeah,
Halo
maybe
and
it
Doom.
was.
So I guess I expected this was going to be the final somehow, unless they met each other in another round, and then we'd have had a totally different conversation. It's just how the draw
I
went,
think
which is why I thought this knockout random draw would make it interesting for
I
us.
think my top two were Titanfall 2 and Doom. So it makes sense that Doom's the winner.
They were.
Yeah. I feel like we're a walking cliche, making Doom the winner.
Who's going to argue with that? If you go over to somebody and be like, "What did you say was the best first-person shooter of all time?" I said it was Doom. What are they going to say? They'll be like, "Yeah, okay, yeah, it is, isn't it?" Fuck off! It's Doom. That should just be your motto for life. Fuck off, mate. It's Doom.
Except ChatGPT likes Titanfall 2 better.
True.
Only because I made her.
But she hasn't got a soul.
No, she doesn't.
There we go. I'm going to make some kind of special little Doom picture to celebrate
I think
it.
it's worth it. I'm going to ask.
Oh, that was tough. That was so tough. I feel relieved. I don't know if I feel good.
We just recorded a podcast and we picked Doom as the best first-person shooter of all time. What do you think about that?
Doom definitely has a huge impact on the genre and is considered a classic for a reason. Its fast-paced action and straightforward gameplay.
Stop. You're giving me the same old shit you did before. Can you give me something new?
Got it. Doom's influence on gaming is massive, and it set a lot of standards for the FPS genre. Even today, it's praised for its design and gameplay. But newer games like Titanfall 2 offer fresh mechanics and storytelling that also push the boundaries of what's possible in FPS games.
Thank you.
Anytime. Enjoy your day.
You too. Bye.
Bye. Take care.
I think we've proven. I think we've proven that we're better than AI.
I think so.
I would
suggest
suggest
the same old shit again.
Yeah, I mean, maybe we have. Who knows?
Yeah.
Am I AI?
Am I? Yeah, maybe.
I think I would have exploded if I had to ask myself that question and I was AI. And that's how Paradox works. Anyway.
Doom's a fair winner. Music, visuals, it's beautiful. Gameplay, unmatched for its time. It is the shoulders that the giants could stand on in the future. It spawned a genre, essentially, I think. Didn't spawn the genre, it certainly popularized one. Everything about that game, from vibes to gameplay to visuals, top notch.
Yeah, and it, the shareware stuff and how it was developed and the camaraderie between the team and how they put the effort and the work that they put into it and how they went about that. There's a real kind of magical story, which sounds really lame to say, but around the creation of Doom.
There's actually a bit of a sadness about it. I mean, I guess it's sort of great because they're on speaking terms now, but the way that relationship broke down, it's proper like the video games Oasis or the Beatles, and this
You're right.
classic relationship where these people were just making magic just like broke down beyond repair. And it's sad, but that Doom is when that relationship was banging, right? It's when they were hitting their stride and they were all friends and they were all getting together and they were just all pulling towards the same direction to create this product that is going to live on in history forever, really, I guess.
Absolutely. Yeah. Deservedly.
Yeah. Right. Had to come
we can do
a new topic. Or do we need to go away and think about it? What's our next podcast? Do you know?
Mario Galaxy 2.
Well, I guess we've got that, and then we'll come up with another Genre Wars after that, because Genre Wars was great. I think we do that again.
Yeah, we're on to, we've got a Metroidvania as well for next month.
Oh, shit. Have we
and then I think
for those?
Yeah, I think we're going to do, we'll probably only get time to do Lords of Shadow, Castlevania, the God of War Castlevania game.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay, I'm interested in that. That'll be fun.
Yeah, it's going to be good. Play that on your PC.
Insane. Yeah. So yeah, look out for that, I guess.
And we can do a Genre Wars after, in June.
That's probably
we'll have to
next.
Think about it.
And Genre Wars next after that, because I think that worked well. I'd be keen to do that again.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. I mean, we should probably do a horror one in October.
Yes.
as part of Spooktoberfest.
Horror. Yes. Yeah, we need to rattle out. You know the difficulty with that. We need to rattle out the format for that, because there's a danger that just turns into Resident Evil plus Dead Space Fest.
Yeah, but if we don't have to do survival horror, maybe there's more of a wider, I'm not sure, pool.
Yes. Great shout.
Parasite Eve will be in there too.
Yeah, that's true. That's another one. Another Winner's You classic.
I suppose we could do platformers. That seems like a really obvious one, doesn't it, to do next?
Yeah, just check it off. Platforms would be fun.
I'm assuming Croc's not going to be in there.
Croc is not going to be in there. Celeste might be. I'm
Interesting.
Such a massive proponent of Celeste. I love that game. From what I remember.
Shovel Knight counts, I guess.
Shovel Knight is another one that might be in there. Obviously, we're going to have to narrow down the Mario games. Probably 2D to 3D. Banjo.
Oh,
That's what it is.
I think we should do it. If we do platformers, then we can just do 2D and 3D, and then it's going to be really hard. And then we'll sit here having aneurysms again.
Brutal. In a combined list. But you could almost do like the NFL playoff. You could do a 2D half of the draw and a 3D, and a 3D half of the draw. Yeah. And then the best of the best goes into the final against each other.
Oh, God. Could do that.
Yeah, that sounds fun.
Bloody hell. All right. Okay. So that's the next one I think we're going to be doing then. Platformers.
Yeah. But next up...
I've always got time to talk about that.
What's that?
I've always got time to talk about platformers on this podcast, so yeah.
But next up's probably, did you say Metroidvania? Is probably the next one.
Mario Galaxy 2.
Mario Galaxy 2, then Metroidvania. Right, okay. All right. Well, next up we've got that. And I guess on that note, we've reached the end of another episode. If you liked what you heard, and even if you didn't, why not give our numbers a bump by subscribing to our podcast on your podcast feed of choice? Or if you prefer to consume your podcast in a visual format, you can head on over to YouTube and search for Owner's You Podcast, where you can subscribe to our YouTube channel. If the podcast isn't enough for you, the best place to get us these days is over on Blue Sky, probably at Thrillix for Alex, and at Super Smiley for me, and at Winner Is You Pod for us. If you're one of the young ones, you can also find us on TikTok. Just search our Winner Is You Pod and you'll find us. Alex, have you got any housekeeping?
I think by the time this comes out, the poll for the Video Game Hall of Fame will have finished, because we're trying to get the listeners to tell us what category we need to pick games from next.
What's the option?
So currently they are, if my internet was fast, I'd have already been able to tell you. My God, that was painful. They are arcade games, sexy games, because there's an on-running thing that Simon is into sexy games and filth, even though he's probably not. But he's got this sort of fake reputation that Rob is hammering down onto the podcast that he's just into filthy games. Games with bicycles. You have to listen to this episode for it to make any sense. Or rare and expensive games, or expensive games. So arcade games is currently winning, I believe.
I'm struggling with bicycle games. There's that downhill game that came out in Game Pass recently, and then there's Alex Kidd.
Well, these are games with bicycles. That's how we get around these things.
GTA is allowed. Yeah, probably any Yakuza game that you can think of. Yeah.
Rob's already said he's picking San Andreas, so I don't want that to win, because he's picked every GTA game up to this point.
This another bitch.
Yeah, but Giant Bomb is the website of an incredible repository for that kind of thing. When we had to do games with turnips, you can just search turnips.
Such a fucking bastardization of its old self. Anyway, sorry.
Yeah, if you just search turnips, it will tell you every game that's got a turnip in it. It's incredible.
That's
Giant Bomb's website.
So good.
Yeah. So yeah,
right.
So you won't be able to vote on that. So just
enjoy the podcast
enjoy whatever one it ends up being.
Yeah. And on that bombshell, I've been David. He's been Alex, and we have been a Winner Is You, and I'm out.
Keep playing Doom.
Doom.